Chapter 1249. As Xiao Chen entered meditation, all the roaring thunder and rumbling lightning disappeared. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged in midair, showing a solemn expression. Xiao Chen's long hair flowed freely behind him, moving with the wind and revealing his delicate and handsome face. The white-robed bladesman still looked as elegant as before. He is starting to meditate. He is really persistent. He actually lasted 5 days in that almost masochistic state. There seems to be only 1 day left of his appointment with the Flame Rock Sovereign. Trying to meditate in 1 day? That is too difficult. When Xiao Chen entered a meditative state, all the rumbling thunder and mysterious phenomena disappeared. When the sunlight shone down, it seemed to shine on the white-robed bladesman hovering in midair, adding some solemnity to Xiao Chen's elegant and extraordinary air. Like the other cultivators, the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea all looked at Xiao Chen, who had already recovered from his injuries. At this moment, Xiao Chen had already recovered from his injuries. After consuming the sage pill from the Thunder King's inheritance, Xiao Chen's recovery ability was ridiculously strong. There were no wounds or bloodstains on the surface. Although the clear wind robes were of low rank, they had an automatic cleaning function. Furthermore, they were a gift from Lu Rua. After Xiao Chen came to the Kunlun realm, he had seen many stronger treasured armors. However, he did not choose to change them. What a strong recovery ability of the physical body! It is about the same as the first Heaven Emperor Wu's golden body. Without such a strong physical body, this little fellow would not dare to act so recklessly. However, even if an ordinary person had such a strong physical body, they probably would not have the willpower to persist. Actually, if one looks carefully, this little fellow is not blindly torturing himself. Every time he tries, he should be able to gain something. However, that old fellow, the Flame Rock Sovereign, gave him too little time. He only has 1 day left to meditate. That is probably not enough. The eyes of the great bandits of the Black Sea were very bright. They saw things much more clearly than the other cultivators. When they discussed, they did not show any emotions, remaining objective and truthful. When the Flame Rock Sovereign heard this, he laughed happily. If he cannot comprehend it in 10 days, I will naturally teach him my method. You don't have to blame me. Since you think highly of my little friend, then teach him your ultimate skills. I guarantee that he will also be able to comprehend the Tao. The other great bandits of the Black Sea immediately shut up. What kind of joke was this? The consummate skills of a sovereign martial emperor were all secrets that were not passed down. The Flame Rock Sovereign rarely even passed it down to his disciples, only to those related to him by blood. There was no one as generous as the Flame Rock Sovereign. Flame Rock Sovereign, why are you doing this? What is your relationship with this little fellow? The other great bandits of the Black Sea asked, feeling confused. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled faintly and said, I do not have any relationship with him. However, when I was young, I received many favors from his item spirit. Even if I tell you, you won't understand. Just keep watching. If my little friend really succeeds in breaking through, I want to see where you old fellows will hide your faces. Flame Rock Sovereign, there is no need to insist. We will not compete with you for now. We will know once we keep watching. The Blood Shark Sovereign smiled faintly and continued watching with the other great bandits of the Black Sea. Time passed quietly. Without the rumbling of thunder and the incessant flickering of electricity, all the cultivators present felt somewhat unused to it. After Xiao Chen entered meditation, there were many discussions. However, after 1 hour, 2 hours, the place slowly turned silent. The reason was very simple. If the same topic continued to be discussed, anyone would find it annoying. Right now, everyone only focused their gazes on Xiao Chen, who was sitting cross-legged in the air. Time passed quietly. The sun set in the west and night fell soon. Boom! Just at this moment, when no one was prepared, Xiao Chen's body suddenly radiated a bright electric light. The sky, which was about to turn dark, instantly turned bright with this intense light, looking like the most dazzling sunlight at noon. Xiao Chen, who was sitting cross-legged in the air, suddenly opened his eyes, and the purple electric light on his body became even more intense. It was so dazzling that no one dared to look at it directly. Xiao Chen slowly stood up in the air. A vast aura spread out together with his tyranny of kingship. What a strong aura of kingship! The blood shark sovereign could not help exclaiming. Naturally, to these sovereign martial emperors, Xiao Chen's aura was not worth mentioning. However, the tyranny of kingship in Xiao Chen's aura could not be ignored. If one looked deeper, they would be even more shocked to discover an even deeper aura hidden behind this tyranny of kingship. That was the heavenly Tao that ruled over the Kunlun realm. Right now, Xiao Chen's luck was overwhelming. That mysterious luck was so strong that one could see it with the naked eye. The many sovereign martial emperors all revealed envious expressions. Overwhelming luck. This was something that every person of the martial Tao could only hope for but not obtain. Did he succeed? When the sovereign martial emperors saw the overwhelming luck behind Xiao Chen, they were momentarily distracted. As for the other ordinary cultivators, they could not see anything. They could only sense Xiao Chen's strong and horrifying aura. What they were more concerned about was whether Xiao Chen succeeded or not. Had he comprehended the Flame Rock Sovereign's consummate technique, the sharp spirit finger? Soon, Xiao Chen used the most direct action to give them the answer. Before everyone's eyes, Xiao Chen suddenly pointed to the sky as he stood in midair. With this finger, the intense electric light flickering on his body vanished, leaving nothing behind. His plain and unadorned body was now untainted by even a speck of dust. Rumble! In the next moment, intense rumbling resounded in the sky. The space of the entire Flame Rock Castle started to tremble endlessly. Accompanying the rumbling was a flash of the Emperor's might on Xiao Chen's body. The instant he pointed to the sky, a bona fide Emperor's might appeared. By the time Xiao Chen withdrew his finger, a huge hole had appeared in the sky. Black cracks spread out like a spiderweb around the hole. The many cultivators stared at this scene in a daze. Tearing space was something that only Emperor Wu could do. Xiao Chen really comprehended the sharp spirit finger. Otherwise, how could the attack of a consummation blue-robed emperor be comparable to Emperor Wu's? As Xiao Chen watched the hole in the sky slowly close, he revealed a satisfied smile on his face, which had remained silent for 3 days. Although this strike could not compare to the peak strike of the cycle banner, he relied on his own strength and did not rely on any external items. Furthermore, compared to the side effects and danger of the peak strike of the cycle banner, this sharp spirit finger was much more practical. Many thanks for Senior Flame Rock Sovereign's pointers. This junior has successfully comprehended the sharp spirit finger that belongs to me. In the air, Xiao Chen turned around and bowed deeply to the Flame Rock Sovereign. A wide smile filled the Flame Rock Sovereign's face, grinning from ear to ear among the great bandits of the Black Sea. You are too polite. I only pointed out a path for you. You still relied on yourself to comprehend the sharp spirit finger in 10 days. The shock on the faces of the other great bandits of the Black Sea was no less than that of the ordinary cultivators. The blood shark sovereign looked around and entered deep thought. After cultivating in seclusion for half a day, he comprehended the sharp spirit finger. It looks like the 5 days of painful attempts, day and night, have already allowed him to comprehend it. The blood shark sovereign turned his head and exchanged glances with the other great bandits. Then, they all nodded slightly. After comprehending the sharp spirit finger in 10 days, it was no wonder he could sweep through all the outstanding talents of the Kunlun continent. Then, he displayed his splendor in the heavenly starry ocean's 4 seas hero gathering. It was not unjust for their descendants to lose to this youth. He truly lived up to his reputation as the descendant of the Qing Emperor. When Xiao Chen saw the people beside the Flame Rock Sovereign, he felt somewhat strange as well. Unexpectedly, his comprehension of the sharp spirit finger would cause so many horrifying experts to appear in the Black Sea. However, this was not the time to care about this. Xiao Chen wanted to test his sharp spirit finger against the Flame Rock Sovereign's true sharp spirit finger, to see which was stronger. Xiao Chen looked at the Flame Rock Sovereign and said respectfully, 10 days ago, Senior gently pointed at me and forced me to admit defeat. Would you give this junior another chance to redo this bet? That's right. The moment Xiao Chen said that, it immediately kicked up a huge wave. This Xiaoqun was very bold. He just comprehended the sharp spirit finger, and he immediately challenged the Flame Rock Sovereign. The Flame Rock Sovereign laughed loudly and happily accepted the challenge. I was just waiting for you to say that. I also want to see whether your sharp spirit finger is overdone or not. You are not worthy of the Flame Rock Sovereign's, reputation. The Flame Rock Sovereign laughed loudly and took up a stance in the air, facing Xiaoqun from a distance. Based on the Flame Rock Sovereign's appearance, he was really prepared to accept Xiaoqun's challenge. The other great bandits of the Black Sea all revealed interested expressions. It was rare for someone like Xiaoqun to dare to challenge a senior after comprehending his consummate technique. He was indeed very courageous. The rules are the same as 10 days ago. You only have the cultivation of a consummation blue-robed emperor, and I will only use the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, the Flame Rock Sovereign said with a smile. The Flame Rock Sovereign did not care about his reputation after winning or losing. In his heart, he hoped that Xiaoqun could defeat him more. Of course, this did not mean that the Flame Rock Sovereign would go easy on Xiaoqun. Instead, he would be even stricter. Xiaoqun nodded and said, "Good. This time, I absolutely will not lose." In that case, you will have to show your true ability. That was what you said the previous time. The Flame Rock Sovereign laughed softly. His mental state had already reached a very high level. The two did not say anything more. Before the eyes of all the cultivators in the city, they attacked at the same time in the instant the electric light flashed. The extraordinary thing about the sharp spirit finger was its speed. If anyone dilly-dallied, hoping to find the other party's weakness, they would basically lose if they were too slow. As such, the speed at which the two of them attacked was so fast that the spectating cultivators were unable to react in time. Suddenly, two clumps of bright light appeared in the dark sky, illuminating this place like the hottest noon. Their auras seemed to be extremely similar. The only differences were in some details and colors. Chapter 1250. The light on Xiaoqun's fingertip flickered with sparks of pure purple light. As for the light on the Flame Rock Sovereign's fingertip, it was a dazzling and eye-catching fiery red, like the sun was burning on the fingertip. Bang! The two sharp spirit fingers did not give anyone much time to think. From the moment the light appeared to the moment they clashed, it happened almost at the same time. The intense clash was like two planets crashing into each other. Long cracks appeared in space, spreading throughout the sky above the Flame Rock Castle. When the shock waves spread out, several weaker cultivators were knocked over, vomiting blood endlessly. If not for the formation laid on the Flame Rock Castle, all the buildings would have been destroyed in the instant they clashed, reduced to rubble. Sharp spirit finger versus sharp spirit finger. The two clumps of resplendent light left even faster than they came. When the light vanished, the victor was decided in the time it took for a spark to fly. Blood leaked out of a corner of Xiaoqun's lips as he retreated in the air. With every step he took, a thunderous roar resounded in the sky. Xiaoqun took 10 steps back before he stabilized his body. By the time he stabilized himself, the sky behind him was already filled with lightning and thunder, and dark clouds covered the sky. On the other hand, the Flame Rock Sovereign, who used only the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, was in an even more miserable state than Xiaoqun. The instant the light vanished, the Flame Rock Sovereign went flying. Of course, the Flame Rock Sovereign had the golden body of Emperor Wu, which gave him great strength. Although he was knocked back, he was not injured. According to the rules of the bet, as long as Xiaoqun knocked back the Flame Rock Sovereign, he would win. Now, Xiaoqun had indeed exceeded his expectations, directly knocking back the Flame Rock Sovereign, gaining a suppressive advantage. Naturally, it was clear with one glance who won. The surroundings fell silent. Everyone was so shocked that they could not speak. Not only did Xiaoqun use 10 days to comprehend the sharp spirit finger, but he even used it to defeat the Flame Rock Sovereign. This was the principle of teaching a disciple and starving the master to death. Even the Flame Rock Sovereign himself could not react to this result. He could not understand how Xiaoqun won so thoroughly. However, a moment later, he came to a sudden realization. He stood in the air and laughed heartily. His laughter was filled with relief. Your sharp spirit finger is indeed not weak at all. I really did not expect it. I really did not expect you to use your primordial energy. Originally, the Flame Rock Sovereign had expected that the primordial energy would be too strong. If Xiao Qin used the sharp spirit finger and used primordial energy, he would definitely injure himself. She thought that Xiao Qin would take things one step at a time, first driving all the law energy and familiarizing himself with it before using the primordial energy. Who would have thought that Xiao Qin would reach the heavens in a single step, mobilizing all the power in his body? The power that Xiao Qin could bring out was already no weaker than Emperor Wu's, who was a first heaven martial emperor. Furthermore, the Flame Rock Sovereign was still using the half-step Emperor Wu's power. Naturally, he would lose so thoroughly. It was not that the Flame Rock Sovereign's sharp spirit finger was weaker than Xiao Qian's. Instead, the power that the Flame Rock Sovereign could bring out was weaker than Xiao Qian's. However, as a senior, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he felt extremely gratified. Blood Shark Sovereign, didn't you say that my little friend would not be able to comprehend the sharp spirit finger in 10 days? Now, not only did he comprehend it, but it is even the complete version of the sharp spirit finger. What do you think? The Flame Rock Sovereign turned to the 12 great bandits of the Black Sea and smiled cockily. You old fogies, you cheered as well. What do you think now? All of you are slapping yourselves, right? The 12 great bandits of the Black Sea gritted their teeth at the cocky Flame Rock Sovereign. However, they could not rebut and could only let the Flame Rock Sovereign mock them. However, these people were all sovereign martial emperors. Their mental states were much stronger than that of regular cultivators. Naturally, their breadth of mind was incomparable. After a while, the Blood Shark Sovereign sighed and said, "The descendants of the Qing Emperor are indeed very graceful. This old man is truly convinced this time." After saying that, the Blood Shark Sovereign flew forward and handed an engraved card to Xiao Qin. He said, "Little friend, if you have time, you can come to my Blood Fiend Mountain Manor. At that time, this old man will definitely receive you personally." When the top great bandit of the Black Sea handed over an invitation, Xiao Qin felt somewhat overwhelmed by the favor. In this world where the strong reigned supreme, a consummation blue-robed emperor like him could get a sovereign martial emperor to send him an invitation so politely. This was simply unimaginable. After receiving the engraved card, Xiao Qin said, "Many thanks for senior's favor. If I have time, I will definitely pay you a visit." With the Blood Shark Sovereign taking the lead, the other great bandits of the Black Sea reacted at the same time. They all put on smiling faces and politely handed over an engraved card to Xiao Qin, inviting him to their mountain manor's courtyards when he had time. This is unreasonable. The 13 great bandits of the Black Sea actually sent an invitation to Xiao Qin at the same time. Don't be jealous. If you can comprehend the sharp spirit finger in 10 days and defeat the Flame Rock Sovereign's sharp spirit finger, you will probably receive the same treatment. It is too hard not to be jealous. With these 13 engraved cards, Xiao Qin will be able to move unhindered throughout the entire Black Sea. It is not just the Black Sea. It would not be too exaggerated for him to move unhindered throughout the entire oceanic world. As the great bandits of the Black Sea took out their engraved cards one after another, inviting Xiao Qin, all the cultivators in Dark City revealed envious, jealous, and hateful expressions. In the history of the Black Sea, when had 13 great bandits ever sent an invitation to one person at the same time? The scene before Xiao Qin's eyes would definitely become a legend. If looks could kill, Xiao Qin would have died several times over under the gazes of these tens of thousands of people. After all the great bandits left, the Flame Rock Sovereign walked over with a smile. Then he patted Xiao Qin's shoulder and said, "Little friend, you helped me gain face this time. When those old fogies came in, they were all very cowardly. I have not seen them so obedient in a long time. They did not even dare to let out a fart after being scolded." Xiao Qin smiled. It looked like the fiery tempers of the two brothers, Ba Tu and Ba Yen, must have come from the Flame Rock Sovereign. Their unruliness was carved from the same mold. Then, the Flame Rock Sovereign looked at the engraved cards in Xiao Qin's hand. Then he withdrew his smile and said seriously, "After you finish my special training, you must go to the other great bandits. Don't ever underestimate these engraved cards." Xiao Chen's expression turned serious. After thinking about it, he understood. As a descendant of the Qing emperor, Xiao Chen understood how horrifying his enemies were during the king conferral ceremony. 13 engraved cards represented 13 sovereign martial emperors, representing that the entire Black Sea stood on Xiao Chen's side. It went without saying how powerful this force was when it was gathered into a ball. On this night, Xiao Chen used his unparalleled elegance to subdue the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea, obtaining a strong helper for himself. Absolute elegance, unparalleled in the world. Xiao Chen solemnly put away the 12 engraved cards and thanked the Flame Rock Sovereign again. Then he asked, "Senior, when will you start teaching me how to use primordial energy?" "There's no rush. We'll talk about it after daybreak. You should rest well first," the Flame Rock Sovereign said casually as he waved his hand. 10 days of comprehending Dao did indeed tire him somewhat. Xiao Chen nodded and landed in his courtyard with a few flashes. Inside his bedroom, Xiao Chen took out the primordial pill that the Thunder King gave him. Then he revealed a rueful expression. The Flame Rock Sovereign's favor was too great. Xiao Chen did not know when he could repay it. There was also Ao Jiao. If not for little Ao Jiao, the Flame Rock Sovereign would not be so close to Xiao Chen. It was also because of Ao Jiao that the Flame Rock Sovereign did not fulfill his bet and handed the primordial pill to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen made another bet with the Flame Rock Sovereign. Aside from verifying his sharp spirit finger, he also wanted to let himself obtain this primordial pill in a more logical manner. Huang Dang! Just as Xiao Chen was thinking about Ao Jiao, the windows opened. Then, Ao Jiao's figure flashed, and she arrived in the bedroom. The instant the windows opened, gentle moonlight landed on Ao Jiao, bathing her in a refreshing and refined aura. This stunned Xiao Chen slightly. Unexpectedly, Ao Jiao could show such a moving scene. "Idiot master, what are you thinking about?" Ao Jiao asked with a smile as she stood on the study table. Aside from Xiao Chen, the person who was the happiest about Xiao Chen being able to comprehend the sharp spirit finger and gain the favor of the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea was naturally Ao Jiao. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and did not answer Ao Jiao. He was eloquent, but he was not good at lying to people he was familiar with. There were some things that would cause misunderstandings if he said them, so there was no need to say them. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not answer, Ao Jiao guessed some things in her heart. She did not mind, so she asked casually, "We will be returning to Heavenly Star Island soon. Do you have any plans?" Xiao Chen answered honestly, "I've thought about this long ago. After I return, I plan to erect the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet and announce it to the world, officially establishing the Dragon's Gate." "Isn't that a little too fast?" Ao Jiao was startled. Although she knew that this was a plan that Xiao Chen had made long ago, she had not expected it to be so rushed. All along, she felt that Xiao Chen would officially establish the Dragon's Gate after he advanced to Martial Emperor. Xiao Chen stood up and put away the primordial pills. Then he shook his head and said, "It is not really fast. Today, I received these 12 engraved cards, which further solidified my plan. There are some things that I have to do. Doing it sooner or later makes no difference." There was another important reason. Before Xiao Chen advanced to Martial Emperor, he needed to return to the Sky Dome realm. What identity should he return with? Of course, it would be best if he returned as the Dragon's Gate's sect master. That way, he could resolve the knot in his father's heart. Just as the two discussed the details of formally establishing the Dragon's Gate, Xiao Chen suddenly froze. Suddenly, Xiao Chen's expression froze, revealing a pained expression. Ao Jiao asked doubtfully, "What's wrong?" "Someone invaded my sea of consciousness." "Don't worry." After Xiao Chen said that, he quickly closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on the bed, feeling unprecedentedly nervous. Ao Jiao watched from the side, finding it somewhat strange. However, she could not do anything to help, so she could only worry helplessly. A strong energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness entered the depths of his mind without any fear. It was like it wanted to dig out all his secrets. Many scenes flashed in Xiao Chen's mind. However, the scene stopped at the Sky Dome realm, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Qingyun Peak, where Xiao Chen and Lu Ryue interacted. The powerful mental energy went berserk, trying to destroy all the memories in his mind. Who is it? Are you trying to turn me into an idiot, killing me invisibly? Dream on. Xiao Chen raged in his heart. All the mental energy in his sea of consciousness surged, forming a divine wall to block that extremely tyrannical mental energy. Chapter 1251. Bang, bang, bang. That extremely tyrannical mental energy was like a heavy punch, shattering all the walls of mental energy. Oh no, this mental energy is too tyrannical. The person who made a move was definitely a prime. Furthermore, it was the kind that specialized in mental energy. Otherwise, Xiao Chen would not have been so defenseless. Xiao Chen's mental energy had already condensed into magic energy. It was not something that an ordinary Emperor Wu could casually barge in. Unable to resist at all, the mental energy wall that Xiao Chen condensed crumbled like rotten wood, easily destroying it. I'll fight it out with you. Xiao Chen gave up on defending and gathered the last of his mental energy. His entire sea of consciousness surged. The surging magic energy also condensed into a fist light and punched out. At the crucial moment, just as the fist lights were about to clash, Xiao Chen's blue dragon martial spirit suddenly startled awake. It directly entered his sea of consciousness and attached itself to Xiao Chen's mental energy fist light. When the other party's mental energy fist light sensed the appearance of the blue dragon martial spirit, it was clearly stunned, pausing for a moment. When the other party saw Xiao Chen's azure fist light approaching, it retreated despite holding the absolute advantage. However, everything returned to normal. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. He felt dizzy and in incredible pain. Furthermore, this pain came from the soul. No matter how strong his physical body was, he could not resist it. Xiao Chen, what's wrong? Ao Jiao asked out of concern as she rushed over and supported Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen wiped off the blood at the corner of his lips and said, Emperor Forsaken personally made a move against me. Being a prime and cultivating mental energy, the range of people who could make a move against Xiao Chen immediately narrowed down. Aside from this person, no one else in the entire Kunlun realm could have such a strong mental energy. There was absolutely no one else with such a strong mental energy, able to kill someone from millions of kilometers away. Furthermore, by doing so, it would be hard to leave behind any evidence and give others something to use against him. This group of people is really desperate. They are too shameless. Ao Jiao said with distress. Xiao Chen comforted Ao Jiao with a smile. Don't worry, after this failure he won't dare to make a move again. Since a supreme being had failed once, he naturally did not have the face to make a second attempt. However, for some unknown reason, Xiao Chen still felt a shadow in his heart. Early the next morning, the Flame Rock Castle had already regained its peace and quiet. All the cultivators who were alarmed by Xiao Chen's comprehension had already left. The Flame Rock Sovereign frowned the moment he saw Xiao Chen. What's wrong? Given your physical body, you should have recovered from all your injuries by now. Why is your spirit still so weak? Xiao Chen could not hide anything from the Flame Rock Sovereign. So, he honestly recounted what happened the previous night. You guessed right. It should be Emperor Forsaken. I once interacted with several deity race Emperor Wu. They are all capable of this. The Flame Rock Sovereign confirmed Xiao Chen's guess. Then, he continued, someone must have spread the news of the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea giving you the engraved medallion last night, driving this group of people into desperation. Xiao Chen's expression did not change much. He said calmly, Senior, please teach me how to cultivate primordial energy. The Flame Rock Sovereign was startled. He did not see any rage or hatred in Xiao Chen's eyes. Instead, Xiao Chen calmly stated his request. You are really able to keep your composure. If I were as young as you, I would have flown into a rage long ago. Who knows, I might even kill a few deity race cultivators to vent my anger. Xiao Chen smiled and asked, Is there any use? The Flame Rock Sovereign was slightly stunned. Then he said, Indeed, there is no use. He is a prime who cleared a 9th heavenly lightning tribulation. What is the point of me doing all this? All I need to do is live properly. Live until I can deal a fatal blow to him and wash away my humiliation. I need to prevent him from messing up my plans. Xiao Chen's gaze was as calm as still water. However, if one peered through that deep water, one would see the hatred hidden in the depths. At the king conferral ceremony, Emperor Forsaken had tried to cripple Xiao Chen on the spot, showing no mercy at all. Xiao Chen remembered Dugu Ao's furious roars in the human demon paradise like it was still fresh in his mind, something that he would never forget. At this point, the hatred between Xiao Chen and Emperor Forsaken could no longer be resolved. Hatred was hard to erase. Only killing could end it. What Xiao Chen needed to do was to continuously grow stronger, trampling on all his enemies on the Emperor's road. The Flame Rock Sovereign revealed a smile on his face. Since ancient times, no one's Emperor's road has been as arduous as yours. I look forward to the day you advance to Martial Emperor. When the lesson on cultivating primordial energy started, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not immediately teach Xiao Chen. Instead, he explained the primordial energy that the various martial emperors possessed. The cultivation of primordial energy is something that every Emperor Wu has to go through. Normally speaking, a first Heaven Emperor Wu can condense 100 strands of primordial energy, a second Heaven Emperor Wu can condense 200 strands of primordial energy, and a third Heaven Emperor Wu can condense 300 strands of primordial energy. Based on this, the number increases exponentially. At the 9th heaven, a sovereign martial emperor can condense 900 strands of primordial energy. With a rough comparison, one could tell that a sovereign Emperor Wu of the 9th heaven was 9 times stronger than a first Heaven Emperor Wu. In reality, in a true battle, it would be more than 9 times stronger. Even 100 First Heaven Emperor Wu would not be enough to kill a sovereign martial emperor. The difference between the two could no longer be made up for with numbers. With each lightning tribulation, the improvement that Emperor Wu received was not limited to just the physical body. Primordial energy would also undergo a transformation and experience a great leap forward. With such a comparison, Xiao Chen felt that his 10 strands of primordial energy were insufficient before a sovereign martial emperor. The Flame Rock Sovereign continued, "What do you think my purpose in telling you all this?" Clearly, the Flame Rock Sovereign would not waste time explaining something unimportant. It had to be closely related to Xiao Chen's cultivation. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen came to an answer. However, after being tricked by the Flame Rock Sovereign once, he was more cautious. Xiao Chen probed, "Senior's meaning should be to tell me why different levels of Emperor Wu can refine different amounts of primordial energy. The answer should be in the physical body. After that, Senior will give me some pointers based on the strength of my physical body, helping me cultivate to the limit of primordial energy that my physical body can endure." The Flame Rock Sovereign revealed a gratified smile. "It is really easy to deal with smart people. That's right. This is the principle. The strength of your physical body has already reached the level of a first Heaven Emperor Wu's golden body. That is enough to refine 100 strands of primordial energy." Fortunately, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not trick him this time. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he had some questions that he wanted to ask. "Senior, many people did not cultivate their physical bodies before advancing to Martial Emperor. After advancing to Emperor Wu, they would also possess the golden body of Emperor Wu. In that case, wouldn't all the suffering that cultivators of the physical body like me suffered before advancing to Martial Emperor be for nothing?" Xiao Chen had personally experienced how painful the cultivation of the physical body was. If not for cultivating the physical body blindly and trying to stand out among those of the same cultivation realm, Xiao Chen would not have ended up in such a state, needing to advance to Martial Emperor in 5 years. Actually, this problem had troubled Xiao Chen for a long time, something he could not understand. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "If you think that way, then you are gravely mistaken. Pay attention to what I said earlier. I added a phrase. Generally speaking?" Xiao Chen was very sharp. The moment the Flame Rock Sovereign mentioned it, he immediately thought of the phrase. That's right. However, there are some people who are different. I'm talking about you cultivators of the physical body. The heavens have always been fair. The more suffering one suffers, the more benefits one will obtain. Whether it is you cultivators of the physical body or other cultivators, this principle is the same. The Flame Rock Sovereign continued, after you advance to Emperor Wu, you will naturally understand this principle. For now, there is no need for you to consider this. Take out the primordial pills that I gave you. I'll teach you how to refine these medicinal pills. Don't I just need to swallow the medicinal pills? Could there be some other way to refine them? Xiao Chun could not understand, so he took out the primordial pills. The Flame Rock Sovereign received the bottle and laughed loudly. If you really swallow them, you will waste most of the medicinal energy in these primordial pills. What should I do? The Flame Rock Sovereign did not rush to explain. His expression uncharacteristically turned stern. I once told you that you will not learn any of the 3 techniques for free, as these are things that only Emperor Wu can learn in the first place. Cultivating as a consummation blue-robed emperor is going against the heavens. The suffering you will suffer is unavoidable. Even if you cultivate the sharp spirit finger according to my method, it will still be extraordinarily painful. What I want to say is that my cultivation of primordial energy is also boundlessly tyrannical and extremely dangerous, not to mention the pain. Xiao Chun said after some thought, Senior should understand my determination to comprehend the sharp spirit finger. As long as it can increase my strength, I am willing to accept any danger. Alright, bring me the saber. The Flame Rock Sovereign's face sank as he said something that confused everyone. Xiao Chun did as he was told. Without any hesitation, he took out a sharp short saber from the universe ring. Puchi. The Flame Rock Sovereign directly stabbed with his saber. In the hands of the Flame Rock Sovereign, Xiao Chen's half-step golden body was like paper. With one slash, a finger-sized hole appeared, and fresh blood gushed out. Don't let your wounds heal. With your great perfection blue-robed Emperor cultivation base, if you want to obtain the primordial energy that only First Heaven Emperor Wu can cultivate, this is only the first step. The Flame Rock Sovereign said expressionlessly with a cold expression. Xiao Chun clenched his teeth, letting the blood flow freely as he endured the torturous pain. The Flame Rock Sovereign took out a primordial pill and flicked his finger, sending the medicinal pill into the cave. Xiao Chen's blood immediately greedily absorbed the primordial energy in the medicinal pill. This explosive energy instantly filled his body, giving him a sense of boundless power. The primordial energy in the primordial pill was several times more than what Xiao Chun absorbed when he opened the door of space and time. This was equivalent to 10 years of cultivation. Xiao Chun had not reached the level of the physical body of Emperor Wu's golden body. This explosive energy tested his physical body to the extreme. The Flame Rock Sovereign did not say anything. He stabbed the saber at Xiao Chen's chest again before putting in a second primordial pill. Third strike, fourth strike, fifth strike. After the Flame Rock Sovereign stabbed 9 times in a row, he stopped. Chapter 1252. Every stab was so bloody that no one could bear to look at it. After the 9th stab, Lin Fan's eyes widened. After the 9 stabs, 9 thumb-sized wounds surrounded Xiao Chen's heart, forming an average-sized circle. Dong, dong, dong. Xiao Chen's heart pounded rhythmically. Every time it beat, his body absorbed a vast amount of primordial energy. Xiao Chen's physical body could explode at any moment. What was the meaning of playing with the heartbeat? Xiao Chen's current state vividly displayed this saying. Although Xiao Chen already did his best to absorb this primordial energy into his heart of an emperor, it was still far from enough. If the Flame Rock Sovereign did not take some measures, Xiao Chen would explode into pieces in a short while. There was still one last primordial pill in the jade bottle. However, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not use it. After closing the jade bottle, he quickly tapped Xiao Chen's chest with one hand. Light flickered on the tip of the Flame Rock Sovereign's finger. With every tap, a beam of light soared into the sky from Xiao Chen's body. After tapping 9 times, a miniature formation appeared on Xiao Chen's chest, slowly circulating. At the same time, a formation appeared under Xiao Chen's feet. Like the 9 beams of light, there was a formation in the air. This formation is called the 9-revolution universe origin formation. In the past, immortals used it to temper their immortal war body. After I obtained it, I made some changes to it. Firstly, it can maintain your physical body, preventing it from exploding from the primordial pill's medicinal energy. Secondly, it can amplify the medicinal energy. With every revolution of the 9-revolution universe origin formation, the primordial energy will increase by half. The Flame Rock Sovereign withdrew his hand, revealing a fatigued expression. This formation represents heaven, earth, and man. The 3 links are interconnected, and you cannot do without any of them. If you cannot endure the pain from the medicinal energy and give up halfway, the formation on your chest will be destroyed. The instant the formation loses balance, you will turn to ashes as well. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly in his heart. The intense pain prevented him from speaking. If he could speak, he would definitely curse out loud. The Flame Rock Sovereign had forced him into a dead end. Xiao Chen had not expected the Flame Rock Sovereign's cultivation method to be so dangerous. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled faintly and said, "I'll go and drink first. Little friend, you have to do your best and hold on. Otherwise, this Flame Rock Castle that has been passed down for thousands of years will be destroyed along with you." The Flame Rock Sovereign forced a smile and quickly left, like he was dodging a human bomb. This angered Xiao Chen to the point of wanting to rush out and kick the Flame Rock Sovereign. The Flame Rock Sovereign, who appeared to have left easily, had not actually gone far. He and Ao Jiao drank wine on a tall building. As long as the two turned their heads slightly, they would see Xiao Chen seated cross-legged on the ground. "Xiao Ba, aren't you being too harsh on Xiao Chen?" Ao Jiao said worriedly as she looked at the wound on Xiao Chen's chest that had not healed yet and listened to his thumping heart. Xiao Chen's skin had already split open. Blood seeped out and dyed his white robe scarlet from the inside out. Veins bulged on Xiao Chen's forehead, and blood covered his face. Who knew what kind of pain he was enduring? The Flame Rock Sovereign said sullenly, "He has no choice but to be more ruthless. He is a consummation blue-robed emperor. If he wants to condense 100 strands of primordial energy, even if he has the primordial pill, the half-step golden body, and my 9-revolution universe origin formation, he will have to gamble with his life. The heaven-defying path is not dangerous at all, so it cannot be considered heaven-defying." Ao Jiao put down her wine cup and frowned slightly. "Please don't let anything happen to him. Dancing on the edge of a knife is really worrying." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Don't worry. Given his tenacity, he will be able to endure it. If it really surpasses what he cannot accomplish, I will not force him into a dead end." Ao Jiao smiled faintly and turned her head. "Xiao Ba, many thanks to you this time. Let me offer you a toast on behalf of Xiao Chen." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled embarrassedly and said, "Elder Sister Ao Jiao, why are you being so polite with me? He inherited the treasures that the Thunder King left behind. Now that you asked me for help, how could I possibly reject? Without you and without the Thunder King, how could there be the current Flame Rock Sovereign? Furthermore, this little fellow is indeed a charming treasure. His potential has not been dug out yet. Perhaps I might have to seek guidance from him in the future." Xiao Chen guessed that the Flame Rock Sovereign's willingness to teach him had a lot to do with Ao Jiao. However, he did not guess that Ao Jiao personally asked the Flame Rock Sovereign for his sake. After thinking about it carefully, one could understand. Without a deep connection, which sovereign martial emperor would teach an outsider their consummate technique that they did not pass on? Furthermore, they would waste 1 month to teach Xiao Chen personally. No one in the world would be nice to you for no reason. The setting sun shone on the tall building, dyeing Ao Jiao's youthful face red. She put down her wine cup and looked at Xiao Chen with a melancholic expression. She muttered to herself, "Little Ao Jiao, it is useless. I can only help you up to this point." Dong, dong. 3 days later, Xiao Chen's heartbeat finally slowed down. However, when it slowed down, the primordial energy it carried became even more vast and heavy. It was like an ancient divine bell, beating every time it beat, shocking everyone. Every time it beat, the entire Flame Rock Castle trembled. However, this time, the Flame Rock Sovereign had the foresight to lay a formation outside the castle, isolating all sound. Otherwise, with the sound of Xiao Chen's heartbeat resounding in the sky like a divine bell, it would definitely attract all the cultivators in Dark City. Up in the tall building, the Flame Rock Sovereign's expression relaxed. He said to Ao Jiao, his situation has already stabilized. Even if he gives up now, there will not be any danger of his body exploding. It all depends on how much he can obtain in the end. Joy flashed on Ao Jiao's face. What do you mean? The Flame Rock Sovereign explained, this 9-revolution universe origin formation relies on the cultivator's talent. In the most perfect situation, it can use 9 primordial pills to form 90 strands of primordial energy. Ao Jiao found it strange. She said, I know about the primordial pill. Although it is hard to refine and extremely rare in the Kunlun realm, it should not have such a horrifying effect, right? Even so, the medicinal effect shouldn't be so terrifying, right? A single pill can form a strand of primordial energy. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, Elder Sister Ao Jiao, you might not know about this. My 9-revolution universe origin formation is a formation passed down from the immortal epic. It can amplify the medicinal energy. A skilled formation master can double the medicinal energy with each cycle. After layering it 9 times, it will reach an astronomical number. This is just a simplified version of the 9-revolution universe origin formation. It is not that horrifying. However, it can still increase the medicinal energy by 81 times. Do you still think I'm exaggerating? Ao Jiao said after some thought, 81 times, that is more than 700 primordial pills. Given that, it is indeed not an exaggeration. However, in the end, it still depends on his luck. If he is not determined enough, it would not be strange for him to condense only 10 strands of primordial energy, the Flame Rock Sovereign said after some thought. Ao Jiao asked, how much primordial energy do you think Xiao Chen can condense in the end? The Flame Rock Sovereign thought for a while before voicing his opinion. Right now, for every day he persists, he can obtain 10 strands of primordial energy. I estimate that he can persist for another 5 days and finally condense 60 strands of primordial energy. Ao Jiao said indifferently, I feel that he can persist for 9 days. Before he completely absorbs the medicinal energy, he will not stop. The Flame Rock Sovereign said, that's impossible. Could it be that he has experienced something even more painful than this? Ao Jiao smiled and did not say anything. Xiao Chen had indeed experienced it before. The lightning tribulation in the Sky Dome realm was much more painful than this. 5 days passed in a flash. The time that the Flame Rock Sovereign estimated for Xiao Chen was up. However, Xiao Chen still showed no signs of stopping. How did this fellow do it? The Flame Rock Sovereign exclaimed in shock. Under the triple formation of heaven, earth, and man, Xiao Chen's current aura was already so surging that it was terrifying. A faint emperor's might spread behind Xiao Chen, lingering for a long time, suppressing him layer by layer. The Flame Rock Sovereign's eyes lit up. Peering through the layers of light, he saw that Xiao Chen had already condensed 60 strands of primordial energy. Every strand of primordial energy was incredibly dense, like a true dragon. The vast and forceful primordial energy swam in Xiao Chen's heart of an emperor, roaring endlessly along with his heartbeat. This fellow actually didn't forget to refine the primordial energy while he was condensing it. The shock in the Flame Rock Sovereign's heart could not be described with words. Given this, when the medicinal pill finished absorbing the primordial energy, Xiao Chen would be able to completely control the primordial energy. The sun rose and set. Another 3 days passed. The emperor's might behind Xiao Chen piled up. It was already boundlessly heavy, nearly turning solid. The effects of the medicinal pill are over. It's time to open your eyes, right? The Flame Rock Sovereign muttered. When he saw the emperor's might behind Xiao Chen, the Flame Rock Sovereign sighed in his heart. He had personally created a miracle. The consummation blue-robed emperor had cultivated 100 strands of primordial energy. When Xiao Chen opened his eyes, it would be like a new Emperor Wu was born. Right after the Flame Rock Sovereign spoke, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes, and the accumulated Emperor's might behind him burst out. Bang! The Emperor's might, which had been suppressed for a long time, soared into the sky like a rainbow, instantly shattering the formation that the flame rock sovereign laid. Then, it tore through the clouds and turned into colorful clouds spreading out, encasing the entire dark city. Colorful light spread out, and Emperor's might spread everywhere. The many cultivators in Dark City looked up, feeling shocked in their hearts. Which lucky person cleared the great tribulation of wind and fire and advanced to martial Emperor? Only someone who had just advanced to Emperor Wu would appear, unable to control the Emperor's might and causing colorful clouds to fill the sky. However, after thinking about it, they felt that this was impossible. The great tribulation of wind and fire caused such a huge commotion. How could there be no sign at all? All of this was something that only the 13 great bandits of Dark City were able to guess at. At the same time, they revealed smiles on their faces. They had not given the wrong engraved medallion back then. That person was worthy of their support. Inside the Flame Rock Castle, Xiao Chen drifted over. He smiled and said, "Senior, I did not let you down. I successfully endured it." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Congratulations. However, I'm afraid that I cannot teach you the final technique." Feeling curious, Xiao Chen asked, "Why?" The Flame Rock Sovereign said helplessly, "Originally, I was preparing to simulate a great tribulation of wind and fire to let you experience it in advance. However, you are growing too fast, far surpassing my expectations. I can no longer simulate your great tribulation of wind and fire. If I let you clear it easily, it will only mislead you. It will only mislead you and will not have any effect at all. Instead, it will be harmful." Chapter 1253. This stunned Xiao Chen. This answer made him feel somewhat nervous. The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "During this period, go and pay a visit to the other great bandits. At the same time, stabilize your cultivation. After that, return to Heavenly Star Island. When the Dragon's Gate is unveiled, don't forget to send me an invitation." It looked like Ao Jiao had already told the Flame Rock Sovereign his plan. Being able to get the Flame Rock Sovereign to come and help establish the Dragon's Gate, Xiao Chen felt more confident. Xiao Chen performed a cupped fist salute and said, "I will never forget Senior's kindness." The Flame Rock Sovereign looked at Ao Jiao, who was drinking alone on the tall building. Then, he sighed softly, "Little friend, I'll say this very sincerely. Whether you repay this kindness or not, I do not mind. If you have the heart, take good care of Ao Jiao and investigate the cause of Big Brother Sang Mu's death. Right now, you have overwhelming luck. With the Thunder King standing behind you, there are some things that are much safer for you to do than for me." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Don't worry. Even if Senior did not mention this, I would do it." The process of visiting the 13 great bandits went smoothly. These sovereign martial emperors had already been convinced by Xiao Chen's grace in the first place. After meeting and chatting, they felt even more satisfied. Xiao Chen always held respect for senior experts and would not appear boundlessly arrogant. "If others respect me, I will respect them tenfold." This had always been Xiao Chen's motto. After the visit ended, Xiao Chen truly formed a connection with these great bandits. Since ancient times, only Xiao Chen had managed to gain the friendship of these 13 great bandits at the same time. After dealing with the matter of the Black Sea, Xiao Chen was eager to return, wishing that he could rush to Heavenly Star Island immediately. 4 flood dragons pulled the war chariot, rushing through the clouds at lightning-fast speed, heading for Heavenly Star Island. Actually, right now, Xiao Chen's personal speed was even faster than the flood dragon war chariot. However, he did not have a strong physique like the flood dragons, able to maintain his speed without slowing down. In terms of long-distance travel, the Flood Dragon War Chariot was more suitable. It would also be more efficient. Inside the War Chariot, Xiao Chen did not neglect his cultivation. Now, Xiao Chen had 100 strands of primordial energy, a half-step golden body, and grasped the instant of glory, the 1,000-year hegemony establishment, and the subduing dragon profound/3 medial grade profound martial techniques. Furthermore, he had practiced all of them to small perfection. What was even more frantic was his ultimate skill, the telepathic finger, which could instantly mobilize all his strength. If Shao Chen were to face Emperor Wu of the First Heaven with such strength, he would be able to fight against Emperor Wu of the First Heaven even without using the cycle banner. If Shao Chen used the cycle banner, he would be able to obtain victory easily. He would not have to put in as much effort as he did against Old Hong. As for Emperor Wu, who was at the second layer of heaven, Shao Chen still didn't know much about him, so it wasn't appropriate for him to make a judgment. However, if he wanted to retreat, the other party shouldn't be able to do anything to him. Right now, I still have 3 paths to raise my strength. The first is my peak will of thunder. The second is my 70% comprehended saber soul. The third is the breakthrough of the purple thunder divine incantation. Shao Chen analyzed calmly. None of the 3 paths was easy. The peak will of thunder required one to materialize the illusory before one could condense an innate thunder crystal. After raising the saber soul to 100% comprehension and forming his own saber domain, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven. For the purple thunder divine incantation to break through to the 7th layer, Shao Chen would need to undergo another lightning tribulation before he could advance to the 8th layer. Clearly, these 3 paths could not be taken at the same time. They had to be done one at a time of priority. Along the way to Heavenly Star Island, aside from stabilizing his cultivation and absorbing primordial energy at a fixed time every day, Shao Chen pondered this problem. When he was only 3 days away from Heavenly Star Island, Shao Chen made his decision to raise his saber soul first. After all, in the end he was a bladesman. Before advancing to Martial Emperor, he had to form his own saber domain. Now that Shao Chen's cultivation of his saber soul had reached the later stages, he could only rely on peak-grade demon fiend rocks if he wanted to speed it up. After he returned to Heavenly Star Island, he would ask the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce to keep an eye on this. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. When Ao Jiao told Shao Chen that Heavenly Star Island was within sight, Shao Chen stopped cultivating and walked out of the chariot. Shao Chen's vision immediately widened. The familiar sea region appeared before him. He could see the silhouette of Heavenly Star Island with his naked eye. He could already see the closest subsidiary islands clearly. Now, Heavenly Star Island already controlled all the subsidiary islands in the sea region. No one else dared to interfere. Before Shao Chen left, he forced back the purple-clad Marquis, a greater Heavenly Emperor Wu. This spread the fame of Heavenly Star Island throughout the Western Sea. Anyone who wanted to target Heavenly Star Island would have to weigh themselves first. Otherwise, they would not be able to get anything good out of it. As Shao Chen got closer, he could already see the buildings on Heavenly Star Island with his naked eye. The first thing that entered his eyes was a vast and majestic city. It looked like a huge true dragon coiled above the pirates. Hence, the existence of the city fixed the geomancy of the surroundings. All the luck gathered and encased Heavenly Star Island. Indistinct dragon chi could be seen moving in and out of the clouds above Heavenly Star Island. It looked extraordinary. Vaguely, this city had the air of a holy city. It was not much inferior to the Lunar Palace's Bright Moon City. The majestic city gates had the words, Heaven Dragon City, written on them. Armored guards stood on the city walls, all of them wearing the same uniform. Shao Chen looked carefully and saw that the uniform was the uniform of the deceased Dragon's Gate. However, it lacked the symbol of the Dragon's Gate. Mo Chen must have made it. As Shao Chen stood in the air and looked at this majestic city, he felt somewhat shocked. Unexpectedly, in a short 1 year, Mo Chen had helped him build up the city. She had built such a huge city on the rubble of that day's destruction. Mo Chen was an extraordinary girl who excelled in zither, chess, calligraphy, medicine, divination, refining, and brewing. She had truly helped him a lot. Without the azure robe token issued by the city lord's residence, you are not allowed to fly into the city. If you do not have it, I hope that the few of you will enter through the city gates. If you try to barge in, we will activate the protective formation. Just as Shao Chen was about to fly down from the clouds and enter the city, the scene above the city gates made him frown slightly. A group of black-clad people wearing conical bamboo hats wanted to barge into the city walls and fly in. Shao Chen knew that most holy cities had such a rule. If one was not an honored guest, one could not fly around the city. This was the case in Bright Moon City and Dark City, which Xiao Qin had been to before. These people knew that the Heaven Dragon City had such a rule, but they still dared to barge in. It was very likely that they were here to cause trouble. Xiao Qin squinted his eyes and looked over. As he expected, the leader of the group was a half-step Emperor Wu, and the people behind him were all blue-robed emperors of different cultivation realms. So powerful! Which force sent this team? Xiao Qin thought to himself. What a joke! We are from the West Ocean Dragon Palace. What rules do we have to follow in your little Heaven Dragon City? Get out of the way and don't block our way into the city. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. The black-clad old man in the lead sneered and took off his conical bamboo hat, revealing the unique fiery red dragon robe of the West Ocean Dragon Palace. The four people behind him also took off their conical bamboo hats at the same time to show their identities. So, that is the case. Xiao Qin now understood. Only the overlord of the Western Sea, the Western Sea Dragon Palace, could send such a strong team. The scene on the city walls immediately caused a commotion. Several cultivators lining up to enter the city stopped to watch. Interesting. This is the 8th time the Western Sea Dragon Palace has sent people to cause trouble. It can't be helped. Who asked Heavenly Star Island to develop too fast? The few large-scale auctions they held completely overshadowed the Western Sea Dragon Palace's limelight. Now, when people mention the Heavenly Starry Ocean or the Western Sea, the first place that comes to mind is Heavenly Star Island. The Western Sea Dragon Palace's reputation is completely suppressed. It is not just the auctions. The secret treasures, wine, and armor produced by Heavenly Star Island are all excellent. It would be hard for such a city not to prosper. The rise of Heavenly Star Island is clear for all to see. The Western Sea Dragon Palace is really desperate this time. To think that they are so direct in their suppression. I wonder how Heavenly Star City will deal with this. I heard that they endured the previous few times. The discussions at the city gates gave Xiao Qin a rough understanding of the situation. Xiao Qin did not show much surprise on his face. It was not strange for an old overlord to suppress a rising faction that could threaten him. But of all the things she shouldn't have done, she shouldn't have provoked him. The protective formation? Who are you trying to scare? If you really dare to activate it, it means that you are trying to start a war. At that time, I, the Western Sea Dragon King, will lead the 7 heroes of the dragon and flatten your Heavenly Star Island in minutes. The black-clad old man leading the group shouted coldly. The leading black-clad old man shouted coldly. This made the soldiers guarding the city feel very dissatisfied, but they could do nothing about it. Scram! Just an insignificant Heaven Dragon City, and you dare to put on such airs? Do you really think that you are a holy city? The black-clad man directly sent out a palm strike and knocked back the soldiers in front of him. These soldiers were only martial monarchs. The captain was only a martial sage. Without activating the protective formation, he was like an ant to this half-step Emperor Wu. How could the soldiers block such a sudden attack? They were severely injured and fell off the city. Seeing that the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's people actually made a move, the expressions of the people watching at the city gates all changed. These Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace elders were too overboard to attack the soldiers guarding the city. What status did these people have? They were Divine Dragon Palace elders, people with high authority. As for the soldiers guarding the city, they were just the lowest level people of Heavenly Star Island. You can't even withstand a single strike. With just this bit of strength, you dare to block our way? The black-clad old man smiled coldly. Then he led the 4 people behind him, preparing to fly into the city. You are seeking death. However, just as the 4 were about to fly into the city, a furious shout suddenly resounded in the sky. Following that, 4 dragon roars rang out. A white-clad man holding the reins in his hand drove 4 deep-sea flood dragons on a war chariot, charging over with a surging aura. The instant the black-clad old man made a move, Xiao Qin's face sank. Unexpectedly, this group of people did not care about anything to this extent. Disregarding their status, they even attacked the city guards, minor characters who were only martial monarchs. This was intolerable. A murderous intent flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he drove the Flood Dragon war chariot forward. Chapter 1254. The strong aura made Xiao Chen, who was driving the war chariot, look as dignified as a celestial deity. Even the leader, the half-step Emperor Wu, felt somewhat stunned under this aura. Horror appeared in his heart. A Flood Dragon war chariot? He is the Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen. He snatched this war chariot from the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master. When everyone saw the Flood Dragon war chariot, they immediately guessed Xiao Chen's identity. This was originally the symbol of the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master, Leng Xiaofan. Now, it became Xiao Chen's personal symbol. This was a great mockery of Leng Xiaofan. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's 5 people had not expected Xiao Chen's sudden appearance. They were somewhat stunned. Blue Dragon King. Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen is back. However, the many guards on the city walls erupted in thunderous cheers. Back when the old city was destroyed, the scene of Xiao Chen charging out at the most dangerous moment and chopping the Buddha palm with his saber was still fresh in the minds of these guards. When that saber chopped the Buddha palm in half, boundless sunlight poured down and shone on that white figure. That scene was imprinted in the minds of the millions of people in the city. They would never forget it for the rest of their lives. Xiao Chen felt somewhat angry in his heart. He could roughly guess why this group of people was so fearless. Naturally, the peak of Heavenly Star Island's combat prowess was Lan Xiaobai and Lan Tianji's master, the Life Reaper Azura Lan Xiaofeng, a peak greater Heavenly Emperor Wu. However, Lan Xiaofeng could only rely on Lan Xiaobai, Elder Qin, Mo Qin, and the other blue-robed emperors. These people were not a match for the half-step Emperor Wu. However, if Lan Xiaofeng made a move to deal with this half-step Emperor Wu, he would definitely give the Western Sea Divine Dragon King a chance to make a move. At that time, when Heavenly Star Island came over to denounce Lan Xiaofeng for not knowing the rules and making a move on a junior, it would become Heavenly Star Island being unreasonable. The Great Emperor also had his own rules. If he made a move against someone below Emperor Wu, he would indeed be a laughingstock in the circle. However, if Lan Xiaofeng did not make a move, no one would be able to restrain this group of people. Hence, the other party repeatedly came to cause trouble, continuously suppressing the newly built Heaven Dragon City. Mo Chen and the others could only endure. If the matter blew up, Heavenly Star Island would be the one to suffer. Not to mention the Western Sea Dragon King's strength as a sovereign martial emperor, there was also the 7 heroes of the dragon. Right now, Heavenly Star Island was no match for this faction that had existed for more than 10,000 years. In the end, he was still lacking some foundation, and he couldn't accomplish it in one go. However, no matter what, a dignified half-step Emperor Wu had attacked a martial emperor. Xiao Chen couldn't bear it. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace truly lives up to being an old subordinate of Neptune. Tell me your name. As Xiao Chen stood on the dragon chariot, he held the reins with one hand and placed the other behind his back. He looked coldly at the black-clad old man who made a move. The black-clad old man felt an inexplicable horror in his heart. Before Xiao Chen's aura, he actually felt timid. What's going on? Although my improvement in the past year is horrifying, reaching consummation blue-robed emperor, I am a half-step Emperor Wu. However, I am a half-step martial emperor. How can I cower before him, not even daring to look him in the eye? Sweat appeared on the black-clad old man's forehead. Why did such a situation happen? He could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. Under the pressure of Xiao Chen's strong aura, the black-clad old man could not help saying his name. This old man's family name is Lu Yunhe. I am an inner court elder of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace. The moment the black-clad old man said this, he regretted it. I am a half-step Emperor Wu. Why do I have to listen to a consummation blue-robed emperor? However, just as the black-clad old man wanted to say something, Xiao Chen's words stopped him. If you apologize now, I will give the Western Sea Dragon King some face and pretend that nothing happened. When Lu Yunhe heard this, he became enraged. What a joke! You want me, a half-step Emperor Wu, To apologize to a martial monarch? Did a donkey kick you in the head, Blue Dragon King? After snatching the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's Flood Dragon War Chariot, you still dare to use it so openly. You are the only one in the younger generation who can be so arrogant. Earlier, Xiao Chen's aura was too strong. Lu Yuanhe was stunned for a moment. Now, he used the anger in his heart to pull back his aura and rebuked Xiao Chen. The one who should apologize is you inexperienced brat. If you beg me now, I can put in a good word for you in front of the Eastern Sea Dragon King. That way, you will not die too badly. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with Lu Yuanhe's nonsense. He said indifferently, I'll say it one last time. Are you going to apologize or not? The many cultivators at the city gates could not understand. Xiao Chen was a consummation blue-robed emperor. Why was he so domineering when facing the half-step Emperor Wu? Why did he keep demanding an apology? Where did he get the courage to do so? Not going to say anything? In that case, I'll take it that you have given up. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance and attacking too ruthlessly. After saying this casually, Xiao Chen's figure flashed. He executed Thunder Dragon steps and soared into the air. How arrogant! I did not attack you, but you actually dared to attack me first. Lu Yuanhe's lips curled up in a cold smile. Xiao Chen came at the right time. He absolutely could not miss out on this opportunity that delivered itself to his doorstep. Defeating Xiao Chen was better than causing a ruckus in Heaven Dragon City 100 times. It would be sufficient to plunge Heaven Dragon City's reputation to rock bottom. However, right after Lu Yuanhe spoke, he could not bring himself to laugh. This was because Xiao Chen, who had been in his vision a moment ago, suddenly vanished. What's going on? Elder Lu, behind. He is behind you. Lu Yuanhe's companions warned him anxiously. No one expected Xiao Chen to be so fast. Trying to sneak attack me? You are seeking death. A horrifying aura surged out of Lu Yuanhe's body as he shouted. Then he turned around and punched. The force of this punch was so great that space buzzed. The ground at the city gates trembled slightly. However, Lu Yuanhe's punch hit nothing but air. Before Lu Yuanhe could even see Xiao Chen's figure, Lu Yuanhe received a slap to the face, knocking him into the air. When Lu Yuanhe stabilized himself, he rubbed his face and looked forward. However, he still did not see Xiao Chen's figure. Lu Yuanhe's expression changed wildly. With a speed like a peal of thunder, he turned around and spoke. But an even more resounding slap landed on Lu Yuanhe's face. His body flew back at an even faster speed, but he still did not see Xiao Chen's figure. Lu Yuanhe's heart was filled with horror. He pushed off the air with the tip of his foot and quickly spun forward. In that instant, a strong wind blew. With every spin, Lu Yuanhe brought with him a vast amount of the power of the world. The two slaps made Lu Yuanhe somewhat dizzy. Right now, he could not think of anything other than catching sight of Xiao Chen's figure. However, as Lu Yuanhe spun around at high speed, a finger mark appeared on his face in the 1,000th of a second, and he spun around. When Lu Yuanhe stopped, he still did not see Xiao Chen's figure, not even a shadow. Elder Lu, behind. Behind? Is he behind me? I don't believe that I can't even see your figure. Lu Yuanhe felt very sullen in his heart. However, he did not dare to turn around and attack. Instead, he turned into a flash of light, flying forward at lightning speed before turning around again. Put, put, put. The sound of slaps filled the air. As long as Lu Yuanhe turned around, he would receive a resounding slap. No matter what he did, no matter how fast he sped up, as long as he turned around, he would receive a slap. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen was right behind him. Everyone could see him except for Lu Yuanhe. As long as he turned around, he would receive a slap. This comical scene caused all the guards at the city gates and the other cultivators to roar with laughter. Their laughter was incredibly piercing. Even the 4 people who came with Lu Yuanhe felt their faces burning. This time, they had truly lost a lot of face. After getting slapped, Lu Yuanhe still looked like a fool, searching for the person who slapped him. To think that this fellow would have such a day. The Blue Dragon King truly lives up to his reputation as the Blue Dragon King. Every time that old fellow comes, he flaunts his might. However, no one can do anything to him. I've been suppressing this frustration for a long time. If Miss Emochin says that she does not intend to use the protective formation, does he really think that he can stir up any waves in Heaven Dragon City? When the guards in the city saw this scene, they all felt their frustrations vented. When Emochin and the others received the news, they rushed over. Originally, they were worried about Xiaoqun. However, when they saw this scene, their lips curled up involuntarily in smiles. Ha! Blue Dragon King, I see you. I see you. Lu Yuanhe, who had been slapped several thousand times in the air, finally saw Xiaoqun's figure the moment he turned around again. Xiaoqun laughed maniacally. His tone actually contained some joy. He was like a child anxiously searching for something. After finding it, he felt a sincere satisfaction. However, the spectators who saw this clearly knew that Xiaoqun had not moved at all this time, purposely letting Lu Yuanhe see him. They all felt a trace of sorrow in their hearts. It's over. Lu Yuanhe really got slapped silly. His face is already swollen like a pig's head, yet he can still laugh so happily. Why are you so happy? I just got tired of slapping you with my back to you. Xiaoqun narrowed his eyes. His delicate and handsome face looked very nice when he smiled. However, to others, this smile was scarily cold, like that of a demon. The resounding slap rang out again. This slap sent Lu Yuanhe flying to the ground. The other party simply could not see the speed of Xiaoqun's attack at all. Before Xiaoqun, this Lu Yuanhe was like a clown, only able to be toyed with. After Lu Yuanhe landed on the ground, his mind was still somewhat muddled. He kept saying, I see you. I see you. The other 4 blue-robed emperors of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace felt their faces burning. Their half-step Emperor Wu got slapped silly. In the entire history of the Heavenly Starry Ocean, Lu Yuanhe was probably the first person to get slapped silly. Unfortunately, this first was not a glorious first. Quickly, carry Elder Lu away. This time, we embarrassed ourselves greatly. I wonder how the Vice Palace Masters will deal with us. The 4 blue-robed emperors wished that they could find a hole to hide in. How could they dare to linger? They quickly carried Lu Yuanhe far away like the wind. In the air, Xiaoqun stood upright with his hands behind his back. As he watched this group of people leave, he did not stop them. Although Xiaoqun was proud and hated evil, he was not a fool. Right now, Heavenly Star Island was not a match for the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace. There was no need to be too ruthless. By toying with this Lu Yuanhe today, Xiaoqun had already regained Heavenly Star Island's lost reputation. He had also helped the guards that Lu Yuanhe hurt vent their anger. That was enough. Chapter 1255. Blue Dragon King. Seeing the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's people flee, all the guards on the city walls cheered. The tyrannical air of kingship that Xiaoqun exuded slowly settled. When Xiaoqun looked back, he saw Emochin and Lan Xiaobai. They exchanged looks and smiled, understanding each other without saying anything. The Flood Dragon War Chariot carried Xiaoqun away. Emochin and Lan Xiaobai waved their hands to get the others to move back. Then, they leaped onto the war chariot. Big brother Xiaoqun, did you succeed? Emochin asked anxiously. Lan Xiaobai also had a look of anticipation in his eyes. Both of them knew that Xiaoqun had left Heavenly Star Island in search of a way to quickly advance to consummation Blue-Robed Emperor. Given that Xiaoqun could even toy with the half-step Emperor Wu, he must have found a way. Xiaoqun nodded and gave a simple explanation of his experiences. Then he said, this time, not only did I advance to consummation Blue-Robed Emperor, but I also condensed a heart of an emperor and can cultivate primordial energy. After the two of them received a definite answer, a sincere smile appeared on their faces, brimming with a strong sense of joy. Lan Xiaobai guffawed and said, it looks like the city lord's residence will be holding a grand banquet tonight. We will not return until we are drunk. Xiaoqun replied. Then, he asked about the ins and outs of the matter at the city gates. What exactly was going on? Lan Xiaobai hesitated for a while before saying, Emochin, you tell him. This is your decision as well. Xiaoqun looked over doubtfully. Could there be more to this? Mo Chin nodded and said, I used the manpower of the entire Heavenly Star Island and some of the secret techniques in the Book of Heavenly Works to complete the general outline of Heaven Dragon City half a year ago. At the same time, the winery on the island and the refining mountain manor on Black Flame Island started operating as well. As you know, we have the Dragon's Gate treasure trove and the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce. We have all sorts of peak ores and rare materials. As soon as the city was built, it quickly became operational. In less than a month, it became the commercial center of the Western Sea. DeBeo and I worked together to take out a few treasures from the Dragon's Gate's treasure trove and hold an auction at regular intervals. The flow of people in Heaven Dragon City immediately increased, completely surpassing that of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's Sea Dragon City. The various merchant associations of the Heavenly Starry Ocean are also fighting to establish themselves in Heaven Dragon City, bringing in a lot of tax revenue. Xiao Chen was slightly speechless. The Heaven Dragon City was like a behemoth. Once it was in operation, the speed at which it rose was unbelievable. Mo Chen continued, the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace became envious of the huge benefits. 3 months ago, their young master brought people over, wanting to work with us. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and asked, work together? What kind of cooperation? Mo Chen shook her head and said, although they said it was a cooperation, it was essentially banditry. They said that the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace would provide security for Heaven Dragon City and then take 50% of our profits every year. Xiao Chen smiled and said, this plan is really good. Since when did we need their protection? Naturally, there was no need to elaborate on what happened after that. It was easy to guess. Naturally, Mo Chen could not agree to such a cooperation. Hence, the other party kept sending people to cause trouble. Mo Chen sized up the situation. Before Xiao Chen returned, she chose to endure and not do anything. Hence, the scene that Xiao Chen saw at the city gates happened. Lan Xiaobai added, the more despicable thing is that the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young master spoke arrogantly. Back then he even wanted to remove Mo Chen's veil. If not for Master appearing and scaring him away, the consequences would have been hard to imagine. There was such a thing? Xiao Chen felt some rage in his heart as he looked at Mo Chen. Mo Chen smiled calmly and said, it's fine. He can't get close to me. My cultivation has not fallen behind in the past year. Xiao Chen looked carefully and discovered that it was not just Mo Chen. Even Lan Xiaobai's cultivation had improved significantly in the past year, both advancing to great perfection. Blue-robed Emperor Mo Chen had the Book of Heavenly Works, the cornerstone treasure of an ancient sect. It was perfectly compatible with her, so it was not strange for her to have such improvements. The strange thing was Lan Xiaobai. Although Lan Xiaobai had excellent talent and had the support of the Dragon's Gate treasure, Heavenly Star Island was not an excellent experiential training ground like the astral battlefield, after all. How could he have made such improvements? Mo Chen noticed Xiao Chen's doubts. She said, I know what you are wondering. The answer lies in the Dragon's Gate's mountain rock that you brought from Bright Moon City. Lan Xiaobai said, only now do I know that the Dragon's Gate's mountain rock made from heaven-subduing rock not only has the effect of gathering luck for the sect but is also an excellent experiential training ground. There are many Dragon's Gate's heroic spirits there. Yu Chenxi and the others are all cultivating there. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Back then, when he first saw the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet, he had indeed seen an illusion. However, he did not expect that the illusion had other mysteries and could be used for cultivation. In the 1 year that Xiao Chen was gone, the changes that happened to Heavenly Star Island caught him off guard, a pleasant surprise that was too unexpected. However, Xiao Chen could not let his joy go blind. He had to think of a way to deal with the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace. What do the two of you think about the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace? Xiao Chen asked. At the mention of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace, the smiles on Mo Chen's and Lan Xiaobai's faces slowly vanished. Worry flashed on their faces. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace had deep accumulations. The Western Sea Dragon King was a sovereign martial emperor, and the 2 vice palace masters were as strong as Emperor Wu. Furthermore, the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace could summon the various marquises at any time. Simply put, this was a huge faction. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace had dominated the Western Sea for more than 10,000 years. If they were not angry, they could flatten Heavenly Star Island. Emochin said, Heavenly Star Island still has the Bushin Palace behind it. The Western Sea Dragon King does not dare to make a move. I'm just afraid that he will play some tricks, sending people to harass us. After all, Senior Lan cannot make a move casually. Lan Xiaobai said, we do not have to worry about this right now. With Xiaoqin around, if they dare to send people to harass us, they will just be seeking their own humiliation. As Xiaoqin listened to the two, he realized that they were both very smart people. However, they could not think of any good ideas at this moment. The reason was none other than accumulations. Heavenly Star Island's accumulations were far inferior to that of a veteran overlord like the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace. Big Brother Xiao, you already have a countermeasure in mind? Emochin was very intelligent. When she saw Xiao Chen's expression, she could tell that something was amiss. Lan Xiaobai looked over curiously. Xiao Chen just returned, and he already had a countermeasure. This was too inconceivable. Xiao Chen nodded and said, I do indeed have a countermeasure. Actually, when I returned, I already thought about it. I can deal with the tough bone that is the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace and let the Western Sea Dragon King know that Heavenly Star Island is not as simple as it looks on the surface. What countermeasure? Xiao Chen's tone was calm as he slowly said, announce to the world that the Dragon's Gate will be re-established. When Emo Chen and Lan Xiaobai heard this, they sucked in a breath of cold air. They had not expected Xiao Chen's countermeasure to be so shocking. Although they knew that Xiao Chen's future goal was to use Heavenly Star Island as the foundation to rebuild the Dragon's Gate, they did not dare to do so. However, Emo Chen and Lan Xiaobai had not expected it to happen so early. This was truly unexpected. Isn't it a bit too early? Lan Xiaobai asked. Emo Chen did not say anything, but she clearly had the same question. Right now, Heavenly Star Island's accumulations were far from sufficient. During the time that Xiao Chen was away, Lan Xiaobai and Emo Chen could be considered the true decision-makers of Heavenly Star Island. There was no need for Xiao Chen to hide his thoughts from them. After organizing his thoughts, Xiao Chen said, actually, compared to those holy lands, no matter how much Heavenly Star Island develops, we will not be able to reach their accumulations within 100 years. It doesn't matter if we announce it earlier or later. It doesn't matter. Since that is the case, why not announce it earlier? Erecting the Dragon's Gate signboard would definitely speed up Heavenly Star Island's development. When the two heard this, they were stunned. They had not thought of this problem. After thinking about it carefully, it seemed like it was as Xiao Chen said. Xiao Chen continued, I am a descendant of the Qing Emperor in the first place. Furthermore, I am the Blue Dragon King personally appointed by the Thunder King. I possess the Blue Dragon martial spirit. It is perfectly justifiable for me to erect the Dragon's Gate signboard. I have to stand upright and be open and aboveboard. There is no need to have too many misgivings. Lan Xiaobai looked at the determination and stubbornness in Xiao Chen's eyes. Then he smiled and said, I am fine with it. From the moment you agreed to let me accompany the Haotian sect, I already made my choice. No matter what you decide, I will support you. The Tsing Lung scheme is your legend in the first place. I will continue to write it down. I also look forward to the martial Dao convention you promised me. Under the veil, Emochin smiled faintly and said, I never object to the things you have decided. Upon hearing the two's words, Xiao Chen felt warmth in his heart. Then he solemnly thanked Emochin. Lan Xiaobai smiled and said, erecting a signboard might seem easy, but there are too many things to consider. Let's put this matter aside for now. You just returned to Heaven Dragon City today. Let Emochin bring you around the city. Lan Xiaobai got out of the chariot. He had to be thinking carefully about how Xiao Chen should proceed with his decision. Xiao Chen recalled the first time he met Lan Xiaobai. The other party's arrogance was still fresh in his mind. Even now, Xiao Chen was somewhat curious about it. Back then, when Lan Xiaobai went to the oceanic world, What kind of blow did he suffer that made him lose the idea of riding the Tsing Lung scheme by himself? Put away the war chariot. I'll bring you around Heaven Dragon City. Mo Chen's words pulled Xiao Chen back to reality. He smiled faintly and put away the Flood Dragon war chariot. Then he followed Mo Chen and strolled around Heaven Dragon City. The streets and alleys were filled with people. The entire Heaven Dragon City was dozens of times more lively than before it was destroyed. Only by walking around could one feel such a change. Occasionally, the patrolling guards would greet the two respectfully when they saw them. After Mo Chen brought Xiao Chen around the bustling business district, she led Xiao Chen to the unique Heaven Dragon dueling ground. Every detail of the dueling ground was modeled after the Dragon's Gate's ancient city. Several things had already lost their inheritance. Being able to reappear in Heaven Dragon City was very attractive to some cultivators. For example, there were walls with the Dragon's Gate's sages carved on them. As long as one cleared a few stages, one could personally touch them and feel the martial techniques the sages left on the walls. There were many such things. As Xiao Chen walked around, he discovered that several experts of the Heavenly Starry Ocean chose to set up camp here. There were even Half-Step Emperor Wu who opened a dojo and built his own dueling ground. Chapter 1256. Mo Chen explained, "Clearly, we cannot focus on every aspect of the construction of a city. After the general outline was done, I contacted the various merchant associations of the Heavenly Starry Ocean and got them to participate. This is a major reason why Heaven Dragon City is so prosperous now." Mo Chen's explanation was a great eye-opener for Xiao Chen. Her insight and horizons completely surpassed Xiao Chen's in this aspect. If Xiao Chen were in charge of the construction of Heaven Dragon City, he definitely would not have thought so far ahead. As Xiao Chen looked at the bustling Heaven Dragon City in the plaza in the middle of the city, he felt extremely moved. When Xiao Chen first met Mo Chen in the Cloud Sea domain, he probably could not have imagined that such a girl would personally help him build a city that would revive the Dragon's Gate. To Xiao Chen, reviving the Dragon's Gate was actually something he could do. What Xiao Chen excelled at was the cultivation of the martial Dao. If not for Lan Xiaobai and Mo Chen, he would not even know how to revive the Dragon's Gate. As for the future of the Dragon's Gate, Xiao Chen did not have much thought or ambition. Re-establishing the Dragon's Gate was out of a sense of responsibility as a descendant of the Qing Emperor. However, if Xiao Chen wanted to be like the Qing Emperor back then, leading the Dragon's Gate to rule the entire Kunlun realm, he would not be interested. Xiao Chen's pursuit was the supreme martial Dao, to break through to the peak. The tragedy of the Dragon's Gate's destruction in the past also told him that he could not go overboard with some things. The Qing Emperor looked like he swept through the world, unrivaled. However, there was a fact that could not be ignored. The Dragon's Gate was destroyed at the hands of the Qing Emperor. What Xiao Chen hoped for was a healthy Dragon's Gate, one that could continue the inheritance of the Dragon's Gate's sect masters. Even if Xiao Chen died one day, the spirit of the Dragon's Gate could continue on, never to be extinguished. However, this seemingly simple desire was filled with variables. The factions that feared the Dragon's Gate were not willing to see the words Dragon's Gate reappear in the world. This time, Xiao Chen wanted to make his stance known to the world. Xiao Chen was a descendant of the Qing Emperor. The Xiao clan's bloodline flowed in his veins. He was duty-bound to rebuild the Dragon's Gate. Why did he have to act like a thief and hide? It was not like he was doing something shameful. As Mo Chen watched Xiao Chen stroll around the plaza in a daze, she understood his pain. Too many factions in the Kunlun realm feared the words, Dragon's Gate. No matter how simple Xiao Chen's wish was, in the eyes of these people, they absolutely could not let Xiao Chen fulfill it. When Xiao Chen made the decision to announce the rebuilding of the Dragon's Gate to the world, the one under the most pressure would definitely be Xiao Chen. When the news spread, it would definitely shake up the entire Kunlun realm. On that day, the insignificant Heavenly Star Island might not be able to withstand such pressure. Xiao Chen had obviously considered all of this, but he still made this decision without any hesitation. "Big brother Xiao Chen, what are you thinking about?" Mo Chen laughed, interrupting Xiao Chen's thoughts. Xiao Chen recovered his wits and smiled. He did not give a direct answer. He opened his palm, and a flower appeared. It was the dragon blood flowers that he found in the dragon grave. There's nothing to thank you for. These are dragon blood flowers that I found in an 8-star dragon grave. Take them. Under the veil, Imo-chan revealed a joyful smile. She cupped her hands together and accepted the flowers. The flowers drifted down from Xiao-chen's hands and piled up in Imo-chan's hands. The dragon blood flower is an extremely rare existence. If I bring these flowers to the auction of the Heaven Dragon in the lower realm, they will definitely cause a huge commotion, Imo-chan said with a smile. Xiao-chen stopped what he was doing and said, "It's best if you don't. Keep them for yourself. I still have other treasures that can be placed in the auction. These are my gifts to you." Imo-chan nodded and carefully put away the dragon blood flowers. "Whatever you say. Come, I'll bring you to the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet. That place has already become a forbidden land of Heavenly Star Island." Xiao-chen was very curious about the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet as well. He really wanted to take a look. What exactly was inside the mountain tablet that allowed Imo-chen and Lan Xiaobai to improve so much? Through Imo-chen's conversation, Xiao-chen learned that Lan Xiaobai had accidentally touched this mountain tablet and discovered its mysteries. After entering, he found himself in an ancient battlefield. After killing his way out of the battlefield and arriving in the real world, he was shocked to discover that the martial techniques that he practiced in the illusion could be used in the real world. However, at this moment, only an instant had passed in the real world. After hearing Imo-chen's explanation, Xiao-chen could not help but feel even more interested. To think that the things that he learned in the illusion could be used in the real world. Furthermore, no matter how much time passed in the illusion, it was just the blink of an eye in the real world. To cultivators whose time was precious, this was simply a great killing tool. After a while, the two left Heaven Dragon City and arrived at the foot of the tallest peak of Heavenly Star Island. This peak towered into the clouds. Spiritual energy lingered around it, and it was lush and green. Xiao-chen had chosen this peak to be the Dragon's Gate's summit long ago. There were many talented children on the mountain who received the teachings of Yu, Jin Lin, Lu Ku, and the others. They were the future of the Dragon's Gate. This was the Dragon's Gate's summit in the first place. Furthermore, the existence of the mountain tablet made this place even more important. Hence, the masters of Lan Xiaobai and Lan Tianji personally oversaw this place. To prevent information from leaking out, aside from a few trustworthy people, the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet was not given to anyone else. Halfway up the mountain, Xiao-chen saw this Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet in a secluded and quiet place. Xiao-chen had chosen the location of the mountain tablet himself. The mountain tablet was made of heaven-subduing rock. When placed at a suitable location, it could guard luck and gather the surrounding geomancy. The Qing Emperor had written the words, Dragon's Gate, on the mountain tablet. Every stroke of the two ancient words was like a powerful bladesman brandishing a treasure saber, clean and efficient, boundlessly free and at ease. Near the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet, Xiao-chen saw two people seated cross-legged with their eyes closed. Their expressions changed continuously as if they were in some kind of illusion. Gong Yangyu and Xinyuan Zhantian. Xiao-chen raised his eyebrows. Why are these two old friends from the Sky Dome realm here? Imo-chan explained, Heaven Dragon City has recently become famous. Furthermore, this is your territory. Many of your cultivators pretended to be your old friends and came to join you. However, most of them were swindlers. She saw through them and verified their identities. You should know them, right? Xiao-chen nodded to indicate that he knew them. Then, he revealed a faint smile on his face. It was good that they came. People tended to reminisce about the past. Furthermore, the Dragon's Gate needed these outstanding talents to join it. Now, the name of the Blue Dragon King, Xiao-chen, was already known to everyone in this vast and boundless oceanic world. The stories about Xiao-chen spread like wildfire, like he was a living legend. It was not strange for people to pretend to be his old friends and come to Heavenly Star Island. Where's Senior Lan? Why don't I see him? Xiao-chen asked, finding it strange as he looked around. Wasn't Senior Lan supposed to personally guard this place? Even you can discover him. In that case, I'm called the life-reaping Azura for nothing. Lan Chaofeng silently appeared beside Xiaoqin. It was like he had been there for a long time. Then he disappeared without a trace. This startled Xiaoqin. No wonder even a sovereign martial emperor feared him. If the other party wanted to kill him, he would not even know how he died. Lan Chaofeng smiled as he looked at Xiaoqin. That pair of eyes made Xiaoqin feel like he could not hide any secrets. Not bad. It looks like the rumors are true. Little friend, your harvest this year is pretty good. Xiaoqin asked. Senior already knows about it. Lan Chaofeng nodded and said, news travels very fast in Emperor Wu's circle. You are one of the hottest topics in our circle. Even if I do not leave my residence, I know about your various exploits in the Dragon Grave Sea, the Dark Sea, and the Human Demon Sea. Xiaoqin did not find this strange. Emperor Wu was the peak of the entire Kunlun realm. Ordinary people would find it hard to see or hear news about them. However, that did not mean that they did not exist. They paid attention to the entire Kunlun realm at all times. There was no major matter that they did not know about. As the two spoke in riddles, Emochin could not make heads or tails of their conversation. However, she could tell that it was good news about Xiaoqin, so she did not mind. You are here to check out this Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet, right? This mountain tablet is indeed profound. Even someone of my cultivation actually got lost in the illusions. When Lan Chaofeng mentioned the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet, he also appeared shocked, unable to understand it. Xiaoqin rejoiced in his heart. Senior can use this Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet? I can use it, but it is not very useful. After all, after advancing to Martial Emperor, the cultivation of law energy is no longer of much use. I have already tested it. There is no way to cultivate primordial energy in there. It is more for cultivating law energy and tempering one's combat techniques, Lan Chaofeng explained. This is not bad. If I have time in the future, I can come and experience it properly. After chatting with Lan Chaofeng for a long time, Gong Yangyu and Xinyuan Zhantian woke up one after another. When the two saw Xiaoqin, they naturally showed pleasant surprise on their faces. Xiaoqin had always been easygoing to his own people, never putting on airs. This made Gong Yangyu and Xinyuan Zhantian feel that they had come to the right place. After saying their goodbyes, Emochin led Xiaoqin to the top of the mountain. There, he saw Yu, who was currently teaching a group of youths martial arts. Xiaoqin could not tell that this Yu was originally a pampered young Mississippi. Now, when she taught a group of children, she was very methodical and had the proper bearing. Her aura had changed greatly. Originally, Xiaoqin had been planning to observe quietly before visiting an old friend. However, the sharp-eyed Yu discovered him. She immediately dragged him out excitedly, wanting him to teach this group of children on the spot. She even wanted him to take a disciple. Right now, how could Xiaoqin have any intention of taking a disciple? However, he did not know how to deal with Yu's coaxing and pestering. In the end, Emochin, who had been watching from the side for a long time, smiled happily and helped Xiaoqin resolve this problem. However, Xiaoqin still promised Yu that after he advanced to Martial Emperor, he would come and take a disciple. After that, the two went to visit Yu Chenxi, Jin Lin, Lu Ku, and Xiao Xian, the first batch of people who had followed Xiaoqin to Heavenly Star Island of their own volition. When Xiaoqin saw that these people's cultivations all improved at a startling rate, he relaxed. In the end, he did not let them down. Back then, when these people agreed to come, Xiaoqin was most worried that staying on Heavenly Star Island would affect their cultivation in the Haotian sect. Now, it looked like his worries were unfounded. If they had remained in the Haotian sect, they would not have improved as much as they did now. Chapter 1257. Unknowingly, the sky had already turned dark. However, Xiaoqin was in high spirits. After being outside for a year, he felt like he had returned home. He could not get enough of the sights. Emochin tirelessly led Xiaoqin around, bringing him to the refining pavilion on Black Flame Island. The scene of more than 10,000 blacksmiths of the Mo clan refining treasures at the same time was rather shocking. This sight made Xiaoqin unable to resist himself, so he also joined in to satisfy his cravings. When the sky was about to brighten, Emo-Chen brought Xiao-Chen to her winery to rest and savor the wine that she personally brewed. When they arrived at the winery, Xiao-Chen remembered the matter that he promised the Flame Rock Sovereign, so he took the opportunity to mention it to Emo-Chen. Emo-Chen smiled gently and said, "This is a small matter. Big brother Xiao-Chen, just give me the instructions." At this moment, the sky was turning bright. The rising sun would soon bring boundless light and sweep away the darkness of the entire world. The two drank and chatted, not planning to go anywhere for now. They would watch the sunrise first. The morning sun arrived as scheduled. The sunrise over the sea was something one could never get tired of watching. This was the rising sun that represented a new life. Every time one looked at it, one would feel surging hope, filling one with fighting spirit. Emo-Chen elegantly drained the wine in her cup. Then she said, "Big brother Xiao-Chen, there are actually many places in Heaven Dragon City that you have not been to yet. Today, I'll bring you to the merchant district first. The people in charge of those merchant associations all want to meet you." "All right." Xiao-Chen happily agreed. Those large merchant associations were the gods of wealth of Heaven Dragon City. There were only benefits to befriending these people. "Miss Emo-Chen, there is news from the transportation formation. It says that honored guests will be arriving soon, and they want you to make preparations." Just at this moment, a guard quickly walked over from the pavilion, bringing a letter. Emo-Chen took the letter and glanced at it. Then, her expression changed slightly as she handed it to Xiao-Chen. "Trouble is here. I'm afraid that we can't continue walking around today." "Why did the three holy masters send people over?" Xiao-Chen asked with a slight frown after reading the letter. Actually, the letter said Bushin Palace. However, right now, the Thunder King did not care about Bushin Palace. The three holy masters were in charge. To Xiao-Chen, there was no difference between the Bushin Palace and the three holy masters. Emo-Chen said slowly, "I have a bad feeling." Xiao-Chen put away the letter and thought for a while. "I have a bad feeling." Emo-Chen waved her hand and dismissed the person, not wanting to disturb Xiao-Chen's thoughts. In name, Heavenly Star Island was still under the jurisdiction of the Martial God Palace. Furthermore, it was different from the sects that joined the Martial God Palace. Dragon, Heave, Chen, Heavenly, Chen was under, He, Dragon, Heavenly Star Island, was somewhat special. Back then, before the people of the three holy masters left, they destroyed many of the buildings on the island, even the transportation formations. However, Xiao-Chen's conferred land was rather special. Back then, before the three holy lands people left, they destroyed several buildings on the island, even the transportation formation. Back then, the Bushin Palace did not mention the proportion of the profits from the conferred land. This was because they did not believe that Xiao-Chen could develop, and they did not care about this small amount of profit. What else could the Bushin Palace have to send people to assist and protect Xiao-Chen? Aside from envy, Xiao-Chen could not think of any other reason. Why did the Bushin Palace send people now? Aside from jealousy, Xiao-Chen could not think of any other reason. Xiao-Chen did not like the people of the three holy masters at all. During the king conferral ceremony, the three holy masters made things difficult for him in secret. When Xiao-Chen arrived at the human demon paradise, the three holy masters even sent people over, openly falling out with him. Emo-Chen knew that Xiao-Chen did not like this group of people. She suggested softly, "How about we turn off the transportation formations to the Bushin Palace and ignore this group of people?" All the transportation formations in the Bushin Palace system were connected. However, the transportation formations were like the airports of Xiao-Chen's previous life. He could freely choose which routes to turn off. Once the transportation formations were turned off, the people of the Bushin Palace would not be able to teleport over. Xiao-Chen said after some thought, "There's no need. The people that the other party sent this time are extraordinary. Even if we turn off the transportation formations, we might not be able to delay them for long. Instead, it will give them an excuse to reprimand us. Go and inform all the upper echelon of Heavenly Star Island to come. Give them the grandest reception. Let me see what kind of tricks these lackeys of the three holy lands have up their sleeves." Emo-Chen's heart skipped a beat. Even turning off the transportation formations would not stop them. Could it be that the other party sent someone with Emperor Wu as their leader? Emperor Wu could tear space and move extremely fast. From the Kunlun continent to the heavenly starry ocean, he would only need half a day to cross this boundlessly long distance. 1 hour later, Xiao Chen, Lan Xiaobai, and Emo Chen stood together at the transportation formations of Heavenly Star Island. Yu Chenxi and the others stood behind them. All the core members of Heavenly Star Island were present, quietly waiting for the Bushin Palace's envoy to arrive. No one knew when the Bushin Palace's envoy would arrive. Lan Xiaobai took advantage of the free time to discuss the important points of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment with Xiao Qin. Last night, I looked through many ancient texts. There are many grand re-establishment ceremonies in history. There are many etiquettes and ceremonies to take note of. I've organized them roughly. After this matter is over, you can take a look. Xiao Qin smiled and said, I'll leave this matter to you. Once you have the plan, you can make the arrangements yourself. I trust you. Xiao Chen's trust allowed Lan Xiaobai to release his bated breath. He was afraid of outsiders interfering in this matter. Since Xiao Chen was so assured, it would not be difficult to make the arrangements. The ancient re-establishment ceremonies are rather extravagant. I feel that we can omit some unnecessary things. The only thing is paying respects to the ancestors. We cannot be careless about this, Lan Xiaobai continued. Xiao Chen nodded. This was exactly what he wanted. The extravagance was not important. What was important was his responsibility to the ancestors of the Dragon's Gate. As Xiao Chen spoke, the transportation formation flickered with a multicolored light. The two stopped talking, and everyone's expressions turned grave. Everyone knew that this person did not come with good intentions and would not be easy to deal with. The lights stopped flickering, and a fiery red azure luan appeared in the center of the transportation formation. The azure luan possessed the bloodline of the vermilion bird, an ancient mutated beast. It represented a noble status and possessed extremely strong control over fire. This azure luan exuded a strong aura. Xiao Chen estimated that even if his 4 deep-sea flood dragons worked together, they would not be a match for this azure luan. There was a total of 5 people on the back of the azure luan. All of them wore the faint golden clothes of the Bushin Palace. Of the 5, one was the most special. The others were all standing, but he sat on the back of the azure luan, resting with his eyes closed. This person did not look old. A picture of the vermilion bird, a divine bird, was embroidered on his collar. He must be an elder of the Phoenix's Passion Palace, a holy land. When Emo Chen saw this person, she felt startled. Xiao Chen was right. Emperor Wu was indeed among the people who came. He had some doubts in his heart. He did not know how Xiao Chen was able to predict this, to be able to guess it. Actually, it was not hard to guess. In the human-demon paradise, Xiao Chen had killed many half-step Emperor Wu by himself. The people of the 3 holy masters' land already understood that without Emperor Wu, they would not be able to suppress Xiao Chen. The azure luan covered in flames spread its wings, and the divine beast bloodline flowing in its body spread out, pressing down on Xiao Chen's side. Whoosh! Under the pressure of this aura, some people on Xiao Chen's side could not stand stably, feeling strained. After all, the azure luan's blood contained a trace of the vermilion bird's bloodline. After this divine beast bloodline was activated, ordinary people would find it hard not to be suppressed. The leader of the people on the azure luan's back revealed a cold smile. It looked like they were doing this on purpose to put on a show of strength to Xiao Chen's group. Qi! Just as Xiao Chen was preparing to deal with this divine might alone, little yellow feather suddenly came out of the immortal spirit ring. The moment the palm-sized little yellow feather came out, it easily neutralized the divine might from the azure luan. After the huge azure luan saw little yellow feather, its flames burned endlessly. It trembled slightly. The Bushin Palace's envoy on the azure luan's back also started shaking. The leader did his best to control the azure luan, but it was useless. Little yellow feather's figure suddenly enlarged. It glared at the azure luan, thoroughly frightening it. A strong wind blew, and the azure luan retreated in horror. It prostrated itself on the ground, trembling. This sudden change happened in an instant. The 4 or 5 people on the azure lawn's back were caught off guard, and they were flung off. Aside from the middle-aged man with the vermilion bird embroidered on his collar, the other 4 fell to the ground, covered in dust. Only then did they quickly stand back up. Little Yellow Feather flapped its belly with one of its wings in the air as it laughed, looking incredibly cute. The group of people from Heavenly Star Island could not help laughing as well. Even Xiaochen could not help revealing a smile on his face. Is it very funny? Xiaochen, is this how you treat the Bushan Palace's envoy? Everyone says that you are arrogant and conceited, considering everyone else beneath you. Today, I finally get to see it for myself. The leader of the group suppressed his anger as he walked over to accuse Xiaochen. The middle-aged Emperor Wu, who was seated cross-legged, seemed to move in slow motion. He opened his eyes in the air and slowly landed on the ground. A formless emperor's might, working together with the leader of the group, swept over silently. The fight unfolded invisibly. The Golden Crow Holy Beast helped Xiaochen gain a small victory. Then, the other party's Emperor Wu immediately made a move, unleashing his emperor's might. Indeed, those who came did not come with good intentions. How arrogant! Do you know who I am? I am Wang Feng, one of the 10 patrolling elders of the Bushan Palace. That person over there is Elder Xing of the Law Enforcement Hall. He kills the traitors of the Bushan Palace and has the authority to act first and report later. The patrolling elder named Wang Feng showed a sullen expression as he pressed forward. Who gave you the courage to be so rude to us? Are you trying to rebel? A strong aura combined with that Elder Xing's emperor's might made it hard for the group to breathe. Isn't it just a moment of carelessness and falling off the bird's back? Why are you putting on airs, trying to accuse us of such a big crime? Jean Lin had a fiery temper. He simply could not stand the other party's aloof attitude, so he could not help saying this angrily. Wang Feng mocked, "Where did this trash come from? You don't even know the rules. Do you have the right to speak here?" Xiaochen smiled faintly and stretched out his hand to block Jean Lin. Then, he looked at Wang Feng and said, "You want to talk to me about the rules? Very well, I will talk to you about the rules." Xiaochen did not discipline his spirit beast well, causing it to be careless and frighten your azure lawn. I apologize to all of you. Chapter 1258. Wang Feng felt somewhat surprised at how rational Xiaochen was, not angered into doing something rash. Wang Feng felt somewhat surprised. At the same time, he felt dissatisfied. If the other party did not make a mistake, he would not be able to catch him. He said coldly, "This beast is frighteningly bold. Do you think it will be fine just because you apologized? Break one of its wings and punish it severely." Xiaochen was being unreasonable. Everyone on Heavenly Star Island was enraged. This was completely unreasonable. If a holy beast broke one of its wings, it would be crippled. Xiaochen's expression did not change. He went along with the other party's words and said, "You are right, not wrong at all. However, spirit beasts are mischievous, but that is just their nature. The one at fault is me, the master." Blood spurted out. The one who should be punished should be me. I will receive this saber strike on his behalf. Without giving Wang Feng a chance to react, a short saber appeared in Xiaochen's hand. Pu Si. Then he stabbed it into his chest, causing blood to spurt out. Wang Feng was standing rather close to Xiaochen. Blood splattered all over his face. He quickly took 3 steps back, somewhat frightened. How ruthless! Seeing the unchanging expression of Xiaochen, this thought appeared in the hearts of the Bushan Palace's group. They were all shocked. Even Emperor Wu revealed a strange look in his eyes. "Patrolling Elder, what do you think of this punishment?" Xiaochen asked coldly as he drew the bloody short saber. The blood on Wang Feng's face had not dried yet. As he looked at Xiaochen, horror filled his eyes. When he heard Xiaochen's words, his voice trembled as he said, "Yes, yes. This matter is over. Let's go and talk about proper matters." A murderous intent flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. He shouted coldly, "Who told you that this matter is over? How is it not over?" Wang Feng felt somewhat weak from Xiaochen's gaze. He did not know why, but he felt nervous. Xiaochen continued, What did you just call me? Xiaochen. If I don't call you Xiaochen, what should I call you? Xiaochen smiled coldly and said, Call me Xiaochen? I earned 1,000,000 battle merits and was conferred the title of Blue Dragon King and personally appointed by the Thunder King. Anyone in the Bushan Palace who has not become an emperor is not allowed to call me by my name. Who gave you the guts to call me by my name? Are you doubting the prestige of the Thunder King and disapproving of my identity as the Blue Dragon King? Or do you have ulterior motives and are up to no good? Speak. Xiaochen stepped forward, the killing intent in his words growing thicker. Finally he shouted, causing Wang Feng to tremble. Wang Feng's heart thumped heavily, and cold sweat covered his back. His face was pale and he could not say a word. I was wrong, Blue Dragon King. Wang Feng struggled to get up with great difficulty. Before Xiaochen's domineering aura, he was forced to apologize. Do you think a simple apology is enough? That's not what you said earlier. Xiaochen's expression didn't change at all. Wang Feng raised his head and demanded angrily, What do you want? Do you want to chop off one of my arms? Xiaochen retorted coldly, Since you are following the rules and trying to frame me, then I will follow the rules as well. This king can follow the rules and kill you for the crime of great disrespect. Today I will only chop off one of your arms. You should rejoice. The moment Xiaochen said that, the air seemed to freeze. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen really wanted to chop off one of this envoy's arms. How could that be? Stop! The law enforcement hall's elder Xing immediately shouted. Whoosh! A saber light flashed. Xiaochen ignored this cold shout. He drew the lunar shadow saber and directly chopped off Wang Feng's left arm, whose momentum had fallen to rock bottom. Ah! A miserable shriek rang out. Blood spurted out from the wound on Wang Feng's arm. He had not expected Xiaochen to be so ruthless and bold, really chopping off one of his arms. Amid the miserable shriek, the group from Bushan Palace was frightened silly. After a while, they reacted and quickly picked up Wang Feng's severed arm. Then they bandaged the wound. If they treated it in time, it would not be difficult to reattach the arm. However, it would definitely be much less nimble. You actually really attacked. Elder Xing could no longer suppress his rage. An overwhelming killing chi surged toward Xiaochen. A heavy emperor's might pressed down on Xiaochen like a mountain. Elder Xing walked towards Xiaochen step by step. The entire place was tense. Lan Xiaobai and the others all placed their hands on their weapons. They did not have a good impression of the martial god palace. They had come to Heavenly Star Island step by step. These people, who established Heavenly Star Island step by step, did not agree to this. Under the leadership of the three holy masters, the Bushan Palace not only did not provide any help, but they even secretly played tricks on Heavenly Star Island. Without doing anything, Xiaochen wanted to reap the fruits of his labor. These people, who established Heavenly Star Island, would never agree. As for Xiaochen, this went without saying. The three holy masters had already shed all pretense of cordiality with him. If not for the fact that the three holy masters' minions still had the skin of Bushan Palace, these people would not have been able to come to his conferred land to flaunt their might. Xiaochen would not show any mercy and teach them a deep lesson if these people came to his conferred land to flaunt their might. Now, Xiaochen only broke one of Elder Xing's arms. Seeing Elder Xing walk over step by step, Xiaochen did not show any fear. He faced him head-on, not showing any fear at all. Xiaochen did not care about the first Heaven Emperor Wu's insignificant emperor's might. You injured a patrolling elder. According to the rules of Bushan Palace, I can kill you right now, Elder Xing said, enunciating every word. The law enforcement hall was a fearsome department within Bushan Palace. When dealing with rebels, they had the authority to act first and report later. Their methods were cold, and they did things cruelly. They were a great deterrent to the entire human race. This time, the three holy masters sent a law enforcement hall elder over for one of their main purposes. It was to intimidate Xiaochen, to prevent him from acting rashly. Who knew, not only did Xiaochen make a move, but he even chopped off one of Wang Feng's arms right in front of this elder. Elder Xing could not tolerate this at all. Since when did someone dare to make a move and injure someone in front of the law enforcement hall? Xiao Chen smiled coldly and said, rules? Who was the one who did not follow the rules first? Who was the one who labeled me first? Who was the one who pointed at my nose and said that you broke one of my spirit beast's wings? Are you even qualified to talk to me about rules? Xiao Chen's words were like knives, drawing blood with every strike, forcing Elder Xing to be unable to find any rebuttal. I am a law enforcement hall elder. I have the authority to act first and report later. I will kill you now, you disgraceful traitor. Elder Xing grew anxious and prepared to make a move to show Xiao Chen the true rules. Rules were dead, but people were alive. Being stronger than you was the rule. Xiao Chen stepped forward and snorted coldly. Why don't you give it a try and see what kind of place this is? Let's see who kills who in the end. The upper echelon of Heavenly Star Island behind Xiao Chen, Lan Xiaobai and the others, also stepped forward with a flourishing aura, pressing over. Where was this? This was Heavenly Star Island, the Blue Dragon King's conferred land. Everyone was united. Their aura and mentality instantly suppressed this Elder Xing, causing his actions to pause. Even further away, Elder Xing raised his head and accidentally saw a figure standing there silently. However, when Elder Xing looked carefully, he could not find that person. It was like that person had always been there, but it also seemed like he had never appeared. Elder Xing was startled. This time he was truly startled. Heavenly Star Island was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. The upper echelon of the island were all extremely loyal to Xiao Chen. Their hearts were all united, and they all had the courage and boldness to face death calmly. Elder Xing, never mind. This time, I was the one who did not follow the rules first. You can't blame the Blue Dragon King. Let's talk about proper matters first. Wang Feng, who had just bandaged his wound, saw that the situation was not right, so he admitted defeat. With a cold harumph, Elder Xing walked to the back of the hall. The tense atmosphere relaxed. Mo Chen rushed over and removed the short saber from Xiao Chen's chest in one go, then helped him bandage his wound. Does it hurt? Mo Chen saw Xiao Chen's lips twitch, and she felt some heartache. This person was too ruthless to himself and ruthless to his enemies. Xiao Chen smiled and said, it's fine. Actually, there is no need to bandage it. The wound will close up on its own in a while. Nonsense. That way you will die of pain. If I apply some medicine, it will lessen the pain, and you will recover faster. Mo Chen insisted. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, but he could only accept it helplessly. After bandaging Wang Feng's chest, Xiao Chen said, Jin Lin, lead the way for the envoys to the main hall of the city lord's residence. After saying that, Xiao Chen led a group of people over. Now, only the 5 envoys from Bushin Palace and Jin Lin, who was leading the way, remained around the transportation formation. No one else gave this group of envoys a second glance. No one liked this group of people. Jin Lin glanced at Wang Feng's wound and smiled. One-armed hero, please. You. When Wang Feng saw Jin Lin's mocking expression, he gritted his teeth hatefully. This person, whom he looked down on earlier, actually dared to mock him now. Jin Lin smiled and said, sorry, I have a bad temper. That's just how I speak. If there is anything that is not pleasing to the eye, just keep it to yourself. In any case, one-armed hero, you do not care about me. After saying that, Xiao Chen flung his head back and took the lead, not caring whether this group of people could keep up or not. This is too much of a bully. If this fellow were in the Tianwu domain, this old man would have crippled him in minutes. Wang Feng cursed angrily. Unexpectedly, this minor character that he looked down on earlier was now riding on his head. Elder Xing looked around, seemingly wary of a certain figure. When he heard Wang Feng's words, a trace of impatience flashed in his eyes. This is Heavenly Star Island. You are flaunting your prowess here. It serves you right to chop off an arm. Damn. Wang Feng cursed. From the very start of this mission, everything had gone wrong. The proper matters would be even more difficult to handle. In the main hall of the city lord's residence, Xiao Chen sat in the host's seat in the center. Mo Chen and Lan Xiaobai stood on his left and right. On the right were Wang Feng and Elder Xing. It was not convenient for Wang Feng to drink tea with one hand. He only wanted to quickly finish the mission that the three holy masters gave him and quickly leave this place. I'll cut to the chase. Blue Dragon King, your conferred land has not signed a contract with the Bushin Palace to hand over the profits. This time, we are here to represent the Bushin Palace to discuss this. After you sign the contract, we will leave. Emochin received the contract from the other party and whispered a few words into Xiao Chen's ear. Then Xiao Chen put down his teacup and smiled. Interesting. You want to take 30% of the profits without doing anything? How shameless are you? Wang Feng no longer had his initial arrogance. He said, the profits can be discussed. Furthermore, we do not need to do anything in the first place. The words Bushin Palace are sufficient. Xiao Chen found this somewhat funny. That's enough? Wang Feng said righteously, of course. With the Bushin Palace behind you, who would dare to touch Heavenly Star Island? Just based on these 3 words, each word can take 10% of the profits. 3 words means 30%. Now, we can negotiate. We only want 10% of the profits for your Heavenly Star Island. Chapter 1259. Xiao Chen burst into laughter. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such a shameless person. After laughing until his stomach hurt a little, Xiao Chen seemed to agree with this statement. Yes, that makes sense. However, can we use the specialties of Heavenly Star Island to replace this profit? Can we guarantee that the quantity is unique? Wang Feng and Elder Xing exchanged glances. They felt that it was fine as long as they did not return empty-handed. Some of the specialties of Heavenly Star Island were rather valuable in the Kunlun continent. Sure. I wonder what specialty the Blue Dragon King intends to use. Is it Heavenly Star Island's secret treasures, fine wine, or divine ore? Wang Feng asked. Xiao Chen shook his head. None of them. There are more than that. As long as the 3 holy masters say so, we can have as many as we want. What is it? Xiao Chen's words piqued Wang Feng's interest. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, he condensed 2 clumps of air and tossed them to Wang Feng and Elder Xing. What is this? Is this air? Wang Feng and Elder Xing asked, feeling confused. Xiao Chen said, That's right. That's right. It is the unique air of Heavenly Star Island. I will give you as much as you want. Wang Feng and Elder Xing immediately realized that they had been fooled. They stood up furiously and said, Xiao Chen, what is the meaning of this? Don't push your luck. Xiao Chen said calmly, I don't mean anything because the words Bushin Palace are like air here. Air for air, none of us will lose out. You're going too far. This was the first time that Elder Xing had been toyed with so miserably, and he couldn't hold himself back any longer. Dong dong dong. At this moment, a series of footsteps sounded, and a guard walked in. He cupped his hands and said, Castellan, there's urgent news from the city gate. The 2 young masters of the West Ocean Dragon Palace and the East Ocean Dragon Palace have arrived at the same time and requested to see you. The young masters of the West Ocean Dragon Clan and the East Ocean Dragon Clan came at the same time. The envoy from Bushin Palace was already troublesome enough to come at this time, and now there were 2 more. The Blue Dragon King has an honored guest. In that case, let's put this aside for now. When Wang Feng and Elder Xing heard this, they immediately knew that trouble had come for Xiao Chen. A smile appeared on his face, and he sat down at the same time, preparing to see how Xiao Chen would deal with 2 young masters at the same time. If Xiao Chen couldn't handle it, he could take the opportunity to teach him a lesson and let him know his place. Are the 2 of you not going to leave? Mo Chen, who was beside Xiao Chen, asked. The one-armed Wang Feng smiled and said, It's fine. We already know about the relationship between Heavenly Star Island and the Divine Dragon Palaces of the 4 seas. They are not very harmonious. Recently, their relationship with the West Ocean Dragon Palace was like fire and water. Since we're here, we naturally have to lend a hand and mediate. Elder Xing snorted coldly. Does the Blue Dragon King need you to mediate? Didn't you hear others say that we are heir? Wang Feng slapped his head and said, I forgot about that. In that case, Let's watch how the Blue Dragon King teaches the two young masters of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace and the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace a lesson, raising the prestige of our Bushin Palace. The two echoed each other, clearly intending to watch a good show from the sidelines, waiting for Xiaochen to make a fool of himself. Xiaochen could not be bothered with them. He would deal with the situation as it came. He already had enough trouble. He did not mind the two young masters of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palaces coming at the same time. Then he waved his hand and instructed the guard, "Invite the two of them in." The guard hesitated for a while before asking, "Should we invite their attendants in as well?" Xiaochen felt excited. The reason the guard hesitated to ask this question was probably because the attendants of these two were not simple. "It's fine. Let them in together," Xiaochen said decisively after thinking for a while. "If these two wanted to watch a joke, then let's see who the joke was." The guard left to carry out the order. At this moment, Wang Feng and Elder Xing were much more relaxed. They drank tea and chatted casually, occasionally glancing at Xiaochen. They wanted to see some suspicion on Xiaochen's face. Without a doubt, they could not see anything. "I don't believe that he'll be able to hold on forever." Judging from the guard's tone, he's not going to be able to hold on. Based on that guard's tone, the two young masters of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palaces probably brought an expert of the same level as Emperor Wu. Heavenly Star Island has a mysterious Emperor Wu holding down the fort. A regular Emperor Wu would not be able to suppress him. It's fine. At that time, I might as well provoke him. Given his temper, he will definitely not let the person behind the scenes make a move. Furthermore, if he let the person behind the scenes make a move, he would be weaker than the two Divine Dragon Palaces. In front of the two Dragon Palaces, they are inferior. You should know that the Dragon Palace masters are not here. As long as he dares to make a move, I will personally teach him a lesson. When have I, the bona fide Emperor Wu, ever been fooled by a junior? The two sent voice transmissions, discussing countermeasures. They had to make good use of this opportunity that was presented to them. Not long after, Leng Xiaofan and another young man in a red dragon robe walked into the main hall. An old man followed each of them. Indeed, the two old men were first Heaven Martial Emperors, Emperor Wu. As they walked, they had a majestic gait. Their auras were like mountains, and their gazes were like sabers, deterring others from looking directly at them. The moment the four entered, they discovered Wang Feng and Elder Xing, who were seated at the side. They revealed suspicious expressions in their eyes. Before Xiaochen could say anything, Wang Feng smiled and said, "The two of you should be the young masters of the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace and the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace. We are the elders of the Law Enforcement Hall and the Inspection Institution of the Bushin Palace. We are just here to drink tea. The few of you can just ignore us. In the eyes of the Blue Dragon King, we are just air." The moment Wang Feng said that, smiles appeared in the eyes of Leng Xiaofan and that youth. They had long heard that the Blue Dragon King did not get along with the three holy masters in charge of the Bushin Palace. It looked like the rumor was true. After the casual greetings, Leng Xiaofan looked at Xiaochen and said, "Brother Xiao, is my Flood Dragon War Chariot good enough?" Xiaochen smiled calmly and said, "Many thanks for Brother Leng's gift. There are not many people who can be as generous as Brother Leng. It is passable for me." Leng Xiaofan's face sank as he said angrily, "Don't give me that. If you do not return the war chariot to me today, don't blame me for not giving you face. Even the Thunder King cannot cover for snatching the war chariot of my Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace." The red-clad youth at the side said, "You drained an elder of my Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace until he became an idiot. You have to give us an explanation today. Don't go overboard with some things." "What a fellow." Wang Feng and Elder Xing both sucked in a breath of cold air. They had not expected Xiaochen to be so bold. Not only did he snatch the war chariot of the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master, but he also drained an elder of the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace until he became an idiot. Leng Xiaofan and Elder Xing did not stand on ceremony with Xiaochen at all. This time, they brought Emperor Wu here, intending to forcefully suppress Xiaochen and make him submit. Perhaps they could force the person behind the scenes to make a move. That way, the palace masters of the Eastern and Western Dragon Palaces would have an excuse to make a move. Wang Feng looked around and took advantage of the situation to say, "Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen, don't go overboard. Since you snatched the war chariot, then return it to someone else. Even if you injured someone, you have to apologize. Otherwise, you will not be able to bear the consequences of ruining the reputation of my Bushan Palace." Leng Xiaofan's group felt surprised. Unexpectedly, this person from the Bushan Palace actually spoke up for them. Now, they felt even more confident. Xiao Chen glanced over and smiled coldly. "Since when do I need you to tell me what to do? Who do you think you are? I am the patrolling elder of the Bushan Palace. I have the authority to protect the reputation of the Bushan Palace. What you did ruined the reputation of my Bushan Palace, so I have to do something about it." Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Is it up to you to do something about it? Groveling and groveling like you, clearly admitting that you were wrong, is ruining the reputation of my Bushan Palace. Are you even fit to be a patrolling elder? I think you are muddled and need to clear your head." But Xiao Chen's figure flashed. His speed was boundlessly fast. Before Wang Feng could react, a 5-fingered handprint appeared on his face. "You dare to slap me?" Wang Feng roared angrily as he rubbed his face. Xiao Chen said coldly, "Let me see if your skin is made of flesh or not. To think that you are this shameless. To think that you are actually speaking up for an outsider on my Heavenly Star Island. I have long found the people of the 3 holy masters' lands an eyesore. You delivered yourself to me and even dare to criticize me. Do you really think that I am easy to bully? This slap is aimed at you. You better behave yourself. If you speak out of turn again, I will take your life." Xiao Chen's forcefulness stunned Wang Feng. He rubbed his face for a long time, unable to say anything. When Wang Feng saw the disdainful gaze of Leng Xiaofan's group, his face burned even hotter. The Patrolling Institute was different from the Law Enforcement Hall. It was not a powerless organization. Instead, it was an organization with real authority within the Bushan Palace. The Patrolling Institute had a lot of authority. Normally, it was awe-inspiring and did not need to be particularly strong. However, Wang Feng, who was used to being awe-inspiring in the Bushan Palace, did not expect him to not follow the rules, not caring about the 3 holy masters at all, daring to humiliate Elder Xing like that. "Xiao Chen, don't go overboard." Elder Xing could no longer endure it. No matter what, he had to teach this brat a lesson. Otherwise, he would really become lawless. "I'm going overboard?" Xiao Chen laughed loudly and stood up. "I know what you are thinking now. I also know that you have endured for a long time. I'll give you this chance now. If you can defeat me fair and square, I will return this Heavenly Star Island with both hands. If you lose, scram immediately." Xiao Chen spoke the words in his heart first. Elder Xing felt like something was stuck in his throat. It was extremely unbearable. "And you all?" Xiao Chen shifted his gaze and looked at Ling Xiaofan and the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master. "Since you even brought Emperor Wu over, why the need to speak so much nonsense? Let's settle the matters between cultivators in a duel between cultivators. I will do as you all wish. As Emperor Wu, do you all dare to fight with me, a consummation blue-robed emperor? As long as one of you can defeat me, I will leave immediately." The silent Xiao Chen suddenly erupted, startling the group of people. Contrary to everyone's expectations, Xiao Chen took the initiative to challenge the 3 Emperor Wu without any provocation. What Xiao Chen said was what these people were thinking. However, for some reason, when Xiao Chen said it himself, the 3 Emperor Wu felt it was strange. Instead, they did not dare to say anything. Should they agree or not? They fell into a momentary state of anxiety. Lan Xiaobai and Emo Chen exchanged glances. They both saw worry in each other's eyes. Elder Xing agreed to it. "This fellow is reckless. Let's fulfill his wish today," Wang Feng said impatiently, his face burning. Wang Feng said in a rush, his face burning. As he looked at Xiao Chen, he gritted his teeth in hatred. Chapter 1260. However, Elder Xing hesitated. Recently, there was a piece of news circulating in Emperor Wu's circle. It was extremely explosive. The Qing Emperor's descendant comprehended the sharp spirit finger, the flame rock sovereign's consummate technique, in 10 days in the Black Sea. Originally, Elder Xing felt that this rumor was too fake. How could someone comprehend the secret of a sovereign martial emperor in 10 days? That was a bit too nonsensical. It was simply unbelievable. However, based on Xiao Chen's current appearance, filled with confidence, could he have really comprehended the sharp spirit finger? If that was the case, it would be problematic. The sharp spirit finger could gather all the energy in the body at one point. With Xiao Chen's current cultivation, this sharp spirit finger would be sufficient to injure them. After all, they were only First Heaven Emperor Wus. Before cultivators who had not advanced to Martial Emperor, even if they were half-step Emperor Wus, they were aloof existences. However, in Emperor Wu's circle, they were at the bottom. Elder Xing agreed to his request. What are you hesitating for? After we win, we will be able to complete our mission perfectly. Seeing that Elder Xing still did not agree, Wang Feng could not help feeling anxious. However, Elder Xing cursed Wang Feng in his heart for being an idiot. Even the 2 Emperor Wus of the Divine Dragon Palaces are not anxious. Why is this fellow so anxious? He is Emperor Wu. It is natural for him to win. However, if he lost to Xiao Chen, his reputation would be completely ruined. If that happened, his reputation would be completely ruined. From then on, he would become a big joke in the circle of martial emperors. The 2 Emperor Wus of the Divine Dragon Palaces also thought the same and did not make a decision. They wanted to wait for Elder Xing to speak first. Then, they could see Xiao Chen's strength first before making a decision. This was a foolproof plan. Just like that, they waited for each other. The place became strangely quiet. When faced with Xiao Chen's forceful request for a battle, the 3 Emperor Wus remained silent at the same time. No one would believe that a mere blue-robed emperor in the Great Perfection Realm could make all 3 Emperor Wu stay silent out of caution. Xiao Chen laughed out loud. His presumptuous laughter was filled with mockery. No wonder you guys are only Emperor Wu of the First Heaven. With such courage, I guess you guys will never have the courage to go through the thunder tribulation of the Second Heaven. If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't want to fight, then scram. I don't have time to waste with you. Send the guests out. The 3 Emperor Wus were so angry that they were shaking. But the more Xiao Chen acted like this, the more they felt that he was unfathomable. It wasn't that they were afraid of Xiao Chen. They were just afraid of the 1 in a million possibility of it happening to them. For an Emperor Wu to defeat a Great Perfection blue-robed emperor, the victory was not glorious at all. It was only natural. However, if there was such a 1 in a million possibility of defeat, then it was over. They would become Xiao Chen's stepping stones, unable to raise their heads for the rest of their lives. Furthermore, along the way, there were simply too many legends about him. When facing such a man, it was hard to choose between a rock and a hard place. When Xiao Chen said to send the guests off, the few Emperor Wu's faces flashed with shame. Send the guests off? Xiao Chen, don't think that you can resolve today's matter so easily. I don't believe that you are so strong that there are no limits. Leng Xiaofan felt aggrieved. He had brought Emperor Wu's here to humiliate Xiao Chen and take back his Flood Dragon war chariot. Who knew that under Xiao Chen's forceful request for a battle, the Emperor Wu he had brought would actually cower. This was unacceptable to Leng Xiaofan. In his impulse, Leng Xiaofan wanted to attack Xiao Chen directly. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's red-clad young palace master roared furiously and charged over together with Leng Xiaofan. Youthful and arrogant, Leng Xiaofan and the red-clad young palace master gave off a sharpness that was much stronger than that of the 3 older generation Emperor Wus. While the others were fearful and apprehensive, Leng Xiaofan and the red-clad young palace master did not need to worry so much. At worst, they would just lose. Leng Xiaofan just could not stand Xiao Chen's current strong aura. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "You overestimate yourself. Leng Xiaofan, do you still think that I am the white-robed Xiao Chen who came to the heavenly starry ocean 3 years ago? Today, let me tell you that the gap between us is 10,000 times larger than you imagine. Back then, for the sake of the Neptune headscarf, you schemed against me. Today, I will return it to you. Kneel for me. When facing the charging Leng Xiaofan, Xiaochen could not be bothered to think about the flaws in his opponent's moves. He simply threw a palm strike, directly using force to break technique. Xiaochen used his strong cultivation and strength to crush all the other party's techniques. When Xiaochen's palm strike landed, it was like the sky collapsed. Leng Xiaofan felt all the state and aura of his martial technique crumble in that instant. Xiaochen's palm strike expanded infinitely in Leng Xiaofan's eyes. His heart sank for some reason. Horror spread throughout Leng Xiaofan's entire body. He was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. He wanted to retreat but found that it was already too late. Xiaochen's palm landed on Leng Xiaofan's shoulder, and primordial energy flowed out of his palm. This was a strong energy that Leng Xiaofan had only seen from his seniors. It flowed through his entire body, and he fell to his knees. Purple primordial energy flowed through Leng Xiaofan's body. The strong restriction instantly rendered him immobile, and he could only kneel. Compared to Leng Xiaofan, the red-clad youth's cultivation was weaker. The instant Leng Xiaofan wanted to retreat, Xiaochen sucked hard and pulled him back. Xiaochen smacked down with his left hand, and he fell to his knees beside Leng Xiaofan with a plop. The two knelt at nearly the same time. From the moment they attacked to the moment Xiaochen restrained them, all happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. The two Emperor Wu behind them could not stop them at all. This resulted in Leng Xiaofan and the red-clad youth being humiliated by Xiaochen for nothing. Young master! The Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's yellow-clad old man was the first to react. He exclaimed. With a flash, his figure moved so fast that no one could catch him. Soon he arrived before Xiaochen. The other person took this opportunity to arrive before Leng Xiaofan and the red-clad youth, wanting to make a move and remove the restriction on them. The other party charged over ferociously. Xiaochen took a step back. With each step, 3 lightning whirlpools appeared on his chest. You are truly boundlessly arrogant. To think that you dare to attack the young master. Don't blame this old man for disregarding seniority and attacking you. The yellow-clad old man attacked in rage. Everywhere his palm wind passed, it tore apart the air, giving off an intense light. In an instant, the tables and chairs in the main hall shattered, and the entire city lord's residence shook violently. Mo Chen and Lan Xiaobai immediately flashed out at the same time. This level of exchange was no longer something they could interfere in. If not for the newly built Heaven Dragon City being a secret treasure in itself, the main hall would have collapsed. Xiaochen was not startled or angry. He was not anxious or impatient. He prepared the sharp spirit finger and counted in his heart. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. After the sharp spirit finger finished preparing, Xiaochen's sullen face suddenly surged with killing qi. 9 lightning whirlpools appeared in his chest, giving off thousands of lightning bolts. All the energy gathered on his fingertip. The light in the main hall dimmed. Only the electric light on Xiaochen's fingertip remained as dazzling as the sun. Pu Si. Blood spurted out, and the yellow-clad old man went flying. A black hole appeared in his palm, and half his palm disappeared. You really comprehended the sharp spirit finger, the consummate technique of the flame rock sovereign, the yellow-clad old man exclaimed in disbelief as he looked at his palm in a daze. The yellow-clad old man's heart trembled. Fortunately, he had not been careless with his earlier palm strike and used all 100 strands of primordial energy. If he had been careless, his entire arm would have been blown off. The sharp spirit finger allowed the Flame Rock Sovereign's fame to spread far and wide. Even primes did not dare to casually touch this consummate technique. It truly lived up to its reputation. Oh no! There is primordial energy in the 2 young palace masters' bodies. We cannot casually remove the restrictions. On the other side, the black-clothed old man's forehead was also drenched in cold sweat. An anxious look flashed across his eyes. The Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master and the sweating black-clad old man looked at the yellow-clad old man, who was in a daze. Xiaochen had complete control over the situation. Even Emperor Wu might not be omnipotent against him. To Emperor Wu, who cultivated the golden body, losing half his palm was not a serious injury. Even if his heart was blown up, given a certain amount of time, he would be able to recover. However, the golden body of a first heaven martial emperor had not reached the point where it could recover instantly. His arm was temporarily crippled, and his combat prowess immediately dropped by 30%. When the yellow-clad old man saw the missing palm, he looked at Xiao Qin, shock and rage flashed in his eyes. There was also a faint fear in his eyes. With the sharp spirit finger, this fellow really had the ability to fight against First Heaven Emperor Wu. Xiao Qin quickly removed the restrictions on the two young palace masters. If anything happens to the young palace masters, the Eastern Sea Dragon King and the Western Sea Dragon King will absolutely not let you off. The black-clad old man could not remove the restrictions. Sweat covered his forehead as he roared at Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin said indifferently, "Watch your attitude. So what if I kill these two people? Don't forget that they were the ones who attacked me first. If you shout again, I will cripple these two people." When the black-clad old man heard that, he asked sullenly, "What do I have to do for you to release them?" "It's very simple. Someone, help me write 2 contracts. Young Master Leng, didn't you come to ask for the war chariot? Now, sign here and hand over the war chariot to me. Furthermore, compensate me for the loss of 10,000 essence stones. Didn't this Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master want my Heavenly Star Island to hand over the profits? Now, sign here and guarantee that the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace will never mention this matter again and compensate me with 10,000 essence stones as well." The moment Xiao Qin made his request, the 2 Divine Dragon Palace old men became enraged. 10,000 essence stones? Are you crazy? How can we possibly take that out? 10,000 essence stones equaled all the wealth of First Heaven Emperor Wu. Even if they could take it out, they could not bear to do so. Xiao Qin retorted calmly, "Is that so? You can't bear to take it out, but the Divine Dragon Palace can. After repeatedly coming to my Heaven Dragon City to cause trouble, do you really think that there is no interest at all? This is too much of a bully." Xiao Qin smiled and said, "Seniors, you are being too serious. This little one is just a consummation blue-robed emperor. How could I dare to bully the aloof Emperor Wu? If you are not willing, then so be it. Someone send our guest off." Ignoring the 2 old men who were so angry that they trembled, Xiao Qin continued, "The weather is cold, and it is so cold at night. It would not be good for the 2 young palace masters to injure themselves by kneeling like this. Remember to add some blankets for them at night." "Agree to it." Leng Xiaofan could not move at all. He glared at Xiao Qin and said through gritted teeth. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace's young palace master felt very sullen, but he still said the same thing. Leng Xiaofan was not even willing to kneel here for a moment. How could he want to kneel for another night? Absolutely not. Chapter 1261. Aside from feeling sullen, Leng Xiaofan felt even more helpless. Back then, when Xiao Qin first came to the heavenly starry ocean, Leng Xiaofan felt helpless. With just a thought, he could think of a way to deal with Xiao Qin, causing Xiao Qin to not even dare to go to his own fief. Over the past 3 years, Xiao Qin had been improving, and so had he. But now, with a single palm strike, he was forced to kneel in front of Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin was a monstrous genius. No one in his generation could compare to him. Leng Xiaofan could not let him become an emperor. This was the only thought in his mind. He absolutely could not let Xiao Qin become an emperor. In the future, the great tribulation of wind and fire would definitely kill him. Right now, he had to endure all the humiliation for now. Whoever had the last laugh would be the real winner. Since the 2 young masters had spoken, the 2 Emperor Wu-level experts of the Dragon Palace had no choice but to take out all their belongings and save them as ransom. Just thinking about it made him feel humiliated. The great Emperor Wu was actually toyed with by a blue-robed emperor in the Great Perfection realm. Xiao Qin received the essence stones with satisfaction. Then he patted Leng Xiaofan and the red-robed man's shoulders and said, "Take them away. The restrictive spell will be lifted in half an hour. Young man, don't let us seize the opportunity. Today's humiliation will be returned 100-fold in the future." The two old men each carried a person and retreated with lightning speed. They were not willing to stay in this troublesome place any longer. Aside from the people of Heavenly Star Island, only the Bushin Palace's Wang Feng and Elder Xing remained in the main hall. Xiao Qin waved his hand and said, "Men, get another set of tables and chairs. I will continue to discuss the matter of handing over the prophets with the envoy from Bushin Palace." "Ah, Blue Dragon King, you must be joking. Let's not talk about prophets anymore. We'll leave now. Sorry for disturbing you." He saw that Xiao Chen was able to force two Emperor Wus to hand over 10,000 origin essence stones. Wang Feng had long since been scared out of his wits. If this continued, he did not know how Xiao Chen would play him. This was not a place for humans. In the future, even if Xiao Chen was beaten to death, he would never come back to Heavenly Star Island again. Wang Feng's footsteps were hurried, clearly flustered. He quickly left this place with Elder Xing. When Emo Chen and Lan Xiaobai saw the three Emperor Wu leave, their worried hearts relaxed at the same time. Looking at the white figure, his eyes were filled with admiration. In Kunlun, of the younger generation, who could compete with the Emperor and control the situation with a smile. Only Xiao Qin. The three Emperor Wus arrived unexpectedly at the same time. This startled Lan Xiaobai and Emo Chen. One Emperor Wu was already a headache. What would happen if three came? However, Xiao Qin calmly dealt with them. Not only did the three return empty-handed, but he even managed to extort 20,000 origin essence stones out of Emperor Wu's hands. The result was like a dream. Even now, the two still found it unbelievable. "Xiaobai, pick a date for the news of re-establishing the Dragon's Gate. Do it within a month." Xiao Qin turned around and spoke with a grave expression. He did not show any joy at the results of the battle. Feeling confused, Lan Xiaobai asked, "Why? Didn't you just force the two Dragon Palace's young palace masters to sign a contract, forbidding them from coming to Heavenly Star Island to cause trouble?" Xiao Qin smiled helplessly. "Why do you think I could control the situation, forcing the three of them to return empty-handed and unable to do anything to me?" Lan Xiaobai opened his mouth to answer. However, when the words reached his mouth, he felt that the answer was not right. After thinking hard, he could not think of an accurate answer. But Emo Chen calmed down and thought for a while. Then she had an answer in her heart. She looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Because of strength." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "That's right. It is because of strength. Even when facing three Emperor Wu at the same time, I have trump cards and do not fear them. Only in this way can I have the confidence to always be overbearing in terms of aura. The fist is the biggest rule. Contracts and whatnot can be reneged at any time. I just have an excuse. In the future, when facing the Divine Dragon Palace, I can use reason to force them and gain an advantage." Lan Xiaobai suddenly understood. However, he still did not understand. "Then, what does all this have to do with announcing the news of re-establishing the Dragon's Gate in advance?" Xiao Qin sat down on the chair that he had already replaced. Then he said, "I already exposed my strength, and the other party will definitely not take this lying down. Do you think that with my strength, I can cause any waves before the three Holy Masters and the Divine Dragon Palace? Now that the other party is prepared, it will be hard for me to deal with them the next time they come looking for trouble. We can only announce the news of re-establishing the Dragon's Gate in advance and disrupt their plans so that we can control the rhythm ourselves." Lan Xiaobai was not stupid. After Xiao Qin explained, he immediately understood. "I'll do it right away. Emo Chen, get Elder Qin to come over. I have something to discuss with him." The sense of crisis in Xiao Chen's heart made him unwilling to stop for even a moment. Originally, he had not intended to expose his strength before the Dragon's Gate was re-established. He had strength on par with Emperor Wu. Once it was exposed, some of the tacit understanding between the Thunder King and the other primes would be broken. However, he had no choice today. He had to expose it. Fortunately, the three Emperor Wu had too many misgivings and lost their drive. Xiao Qin only exposed the sharp spirit finger. No one knew that he had 100 strands of primordial energy. This was a blessing in disguise. After a while, the Haotian sect's Elder Qin arrived at the main hall. Xiao Chen went straight to the point, saying, Elder Qin, I would like to meet the Haotian Emperor. You should have a way. The Haotian Emperor? No, now it should be the Haotian Prime, Ing Zongtian. The other party had cleared 3 sovereign tribulations in a row, crossing 9 heavens. Like the Thunder King Sang Mu back then, he already possessed the strength of a prime. Xiao Chen had never formally met the Thunder King before, nor had he spoken to the Thunder King. He always felt that there was some distance between them. In Xiao Chen's heart, the only person he could truly rely on was this prime martial emperor, who he had a heart-to-heart talk with before. Xiao Chen needed the senior's permission to re-establish the Dragon's Gate. Otherwise, he would not be confident. After announcing the matter to the world, there would be huge waves and boundless pressure. Elder Qin was not surprised by Xiao Chen's sudden question. He smiled and said, The sect master instructed me long ago that if Heavenly Star Island runs into any unsolvable problems, this old man can shatter this jade strip and get him to make an appearance. However, young Master Xiao has never had a chance to use this jade strip. Wouldn't it be a waste to use it now? There really is. Indeed, I guessed right. Xiao Chen said respectfully, I'll have to trouble Elder Qin. Give me the jade strip. It is indeed time to use it. It is good that young Master Xiao has decided. Elder Qin flicked his hand and tossed out a jade strip. After Xiao Chen caught it, he performed a cupped fist salute and said, If there is nothing else, this old man will take his leave first. Clearly, Xiao Chen had something he wanted to discuss with Ing Zongtian alone. So, Elder Qin tactfully left. Without any hesitation, the moment Elder Qin left, Xiao Chen directly shattered the jade strip. The jade strip shattered into countless pieces. Each piece flickered with a crystalline light, looking dreamy and beautiful. Before Xiao Chen's curious expression, the countless pieces of light gathered and changed. Finally, they formed an image of Ing Zongtian in front of Xiao Chen. Little brother Xiao, why are you looking for me? Ing Zongtian asked with a smile, appearing to be in good spirits. Xiao Chen said politely, Big brother Ing, I intend to announce the re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate to the world within 1 month. The moment Xiao Chen said that, the smile on Ing Zongtian's face immediately vanished. Then he asked gravely, Why are you in such a rush? In my opinion, you are not a rash person or a maniac with wild ambitions. Is there some other reason? Xiao Chen felt a warmth in his heart. Although Ing Zongtian was a senior, he did not seem to have a generation gap with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen could easily guess Xiao Chen's difficulties. Nodding, Xiao Chen explained Heavenly Star Island's current problems. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace was eyeing Heavenly Star Island covetously. Heavenly Star Island was not strong enough to resist them. Xiao Chen needed to establish the Dragon's Gate's name and let them know the strength behind Heavenly Star Island. Only then would the other party not dare to make any rash moves, giving Heavenly Star Island space to survive. At the same time, Xiao Chen expressed his intentions. He was only here to re-establish the Dragon's Gate out of a sense of responsibility after the death of the Qing Emperor. He did not have any ambitions, nor did he want to rule the world. Xiao Chen did not have the time, energy, or interest to do so. As long as he could continue the Dragon's Gate's inheritance and live up to that sense of responsibility in his heart, it would be fine. Ing Zongtian had been listening all along, not interrupting. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, he said, I understand what you mean. When the time comes, I will personally make a trip over. As a descendant of the Qing Emperor, re-establishing the Dragon's Gate is a matter of course. There is no need to hide or sneak around. Xiao Chen revealed a trace of joy on his face. Many thanks, big brother. It's fine. There is no need to stand on ceremony. You are a descendant of the Qing Emperor in the first place. Re-establishing the Dragon's Gate is a matter of course. There is no need to sneak around or hide. Since you are open and above board, what is there that cannot be made public? No matter how big the matter is, I will help you shoulder it. The Haotian Prime, Ing Zongtian, did not hesitate to agree to Xiao Chen's request after he finished speaking. With Big Brother's words, even if there is a huge wave, I am confident of shouldering it. Xiao Chen's words were not humble or flattering. What else could give Xiao Chen more confidence than the promise of a prime? Big brother Ing, "Can I meet the Thunder King?" Xiao Chen made another request after hesitating for a while. Ying Zongtian smiled and said, "There is no need. The Thunder King has been watching you. If he wants to meet you, it would be hard for you not to. If he does not want to, no one will be able to see his true body. Remember these words of mine. Although the Thunder Sovereign has rarely interfered to help you along the way, he has always been watching over you. As long as he is around, no one in the entire Kunlun realm will dare to touch you." After Xiao Chen said this, all the motes of light scattered like fireflies. Ying Zongtian's figure vanished. A flame lit up in Xiao Chen's eyes. That was a surging determination. A faction that had disappeared for 10,000 years would be re-established within 1 month. The storm that Xiao Chen brought would definitely affect the entire Kunlun realm. No matter where one was, this news would cause a stir. The enemies in the open would definitely be enraged. The enemies in the dark would not be able to hold back and jump out. Not everyone was happy to see the Dragon's Gate rise. Back then, the Qing Emperor made too many enemies. After the Qing Emperor fell, all the factions that participated in the destruction of the Dragon's Gate would absolutely not let the Dragon's Gate re-establish smoothly. Chapter 1262. Let the storm come even more ferociously, Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Unknowingly, he had already been in the Kunlun realm for close to 8 years. Ever since he announced his identity as a descendant of the Qing Emperor, he had been waiting for this moment for far too long. Lan Xiaobai was still helping to choose a date. Xiao Chen could not possibly stop either. The sense of urgency made him cultivate even more anxiously. 20,000 essence stones were sufficient for Xiao Chen to cultivate for a long time. He did not have to worry about resources at all. Aside from cultivating primordial energy, Xiao Chen spent all his remaining time on comprehending and refining his saber soul. After Emo Chen found out about Xiao Chen's request, she contacted the various large merchant associations in Heaven Dragon City. Adding on the connections of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce, she helped Xiao Chen obtain a total of 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend rocks. Even after using so many connections, she managed to obtain only 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend rocks. This showed how rare these things were. According to Emo Chen, as long as they appeared in an auction, people on the level of Emperor Wu would immediately buy them. Furthermore, even sovereign martial emperors would be interested. Being able to obtain 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend rocks for Xiao Chen was already very incredible. Even those holy lands might not be able to do this within a short time. Naturally, 10 peak-grade Demon Fiend rocks was insufficient for Xiao Chen to raise his 70% comprehended saber soul to 100% comprehension and transform it into a saber domain. However, raising it to 80% comprehension would not be a problem. If he was lucky, he could raise it to 90% comprehension. As Xiao Chen sat on the peak that belonged to him, he held a peak-grade Demon Fiend rock in his hand. After taking a deep breath, Xiao Chen started to use his saber soul to touch the Demon Fiend rock, tempering his saber soul. Using the Demon Fiend rock to cultivate was not easy. It would trigger a negative heart demon, which was extraordinarily dangerous. If one was not careful, one's mind would be injured. When Xiao Chen's saber soul touched the Demon Fiend rock, a layer of black demonic qi covered his body. The demonic qi changed, looking like a human demon surrounding him. The scene in front of him suddenly changed. A large amount of abyss demonic energy appeared out of nowhere and attacked Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Monstrous waves surged in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Black demons with ever-changing figures appeared in his sea of consciousness. Sometimes, these demons would take on the appearance of Xiao Chen's fiendish appearance. It was extremely strange. What he saw wasn't an illusion, but it wasn't real either. It was hard to tell what was real and what was fake. The true sea of consciousness could be said to be completely calm, without any ripples. However, if left unchecked, these illusory demons would eventually injure the main body. Not only his will, but his soul and mind would also suffer significant damage. In serious cases, their souls might even be devoured by the devil, turning them into a homicidal maniac and completely falling into the path of the devil. demonic fiend rock. Just from its name, one could tell that it was no ordinary natural treasure. Using it to take shortcuts was like dancing on a tightrope. Kill, 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 kill. The demons let out miserable shrieks that sounded like ghosts wailing and wolves howling. The sound waves surged into the air, their auras horrifying. Xiao Chen's heart remained as calm as still water. His gaze turned sharp as he held a saber in his hand. This was the true form of his saber soul. He said coldly, "If my heart does not waver, it is all an illusion." In this surging sea of consciousness, Xiao Chen clashed intensely with the demons. The dangerous scene was no less than a real battle. In fact, it was even crueler. Sometimes, the demons would not only take on Xiao Chen's appearance but also Ao Jiao, Lu Rue, Emo Chen, and everyone else related to Xiao Chen. If Xiao Chen hesitated, thousands of sabers would pierce his heart, inflicting extreme pain and torture. Furthermore, Xiao Chen had to maintain a calm heart amid this frenzied massacre. He could not lose himself in the massacre. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was to cultivate a saber soul. After Xiao Chen chopped down all the demons, an illusory seven-colored, glassy saber light appeared in his sea of consciousness. This was the essence of the demon fiend rock after the negative demons were removed. According to the test performance and the grade of the demon fiend rock, different amounts of essence would appear. This is my first time seeing a seven-colored saber soul essence. Peak grade demon fiend rock is indeed extraordinary. In the past, when Xiao Chen used superior grade demon fiend rocks, silver essence appeared. This time, however, it was a multicolored one. Xiao Chen wondered what level his saber soul would reach after absorbing it all. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and pushed off the ground, flying towards that seven-colored light. As Xiao Chen brandished his saber light, the multicolored essence of the saber soul was absorbed into the saber in his hand. When the saber light was completely absorbed, Xiao Chen's expression changed. When the saber light in his hand was completely absorbed, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes. All the illusions vanished. He had already exhausted the demon fiend rock in his hand. Xiao Chen's gaze turned even sharper. It felt like he could pierce through space with a gentle stab, inspiring fear. Xiao Chen anxiously sank his consciousness into his sea of consciousness. He discovered that the illusory small saber beside the lightning talisman had become even more corporeal. 76% comprehension. What an incredible effect! With another demon fiend rock, my saber soul can definitely advance to 80% comprehension. There are also 9 peak grade demon fiend rocks. Who knows, I might be able to advance my saber soul to 90% comprehension and form my own saber domain. Xiao Chen exclaimed joyfully. He had not expected the effects of the peak grade demon fiend rock to be so good. In reality, there was a reason for this. If it were another Emperor Wu using this demon fiend rock, he would not be able to achieve such an effect as Xiao Chen did. Firstly, this was Xiao Chen's first time using the peak grade demon fiend rock. Naturally, the effects would be extraordinary. For any natural treasure, the first use would have the greatest effect. After that, the effects would slowly weaken until there was no effect at all. Secondly, it had to do with Xiao Chen's mental state. His heart was as calm as still water, completely unaffected by the negative emotions. Killing all the demons without sparing a single one would naturally achieve the best effect. If a large number of demons remained and could not be killed, the impurities in the demon fiend rock would not be removed so cleanly. Perhaps not even half of the seven-colored essence would be left. When one's mental state reached Emperor Wu's level, the higher one went, the more one would discover the effects of one's mental state. After tossing aside his thoughts, Xiao Chen took out the second peak grade demon fiend rock and continued to cultivate. The first time, Xiao Chen had spent half a day to eliminate all the demons. This time he only needed 4 hours. However, the improvement he obtained shocked him. 79% comprehension. Xiao Chen was still a step away from 80% comprehension. This blow shattered his dreams. Xiao Chen frowned and said, "The effects are weakening very quickly. To think that I can use 10 demon fiend rocks to break through to a saber domain. How naive." If Xiaoqun could advance his saber soul to a saber domain before the ceremony, he would be more confident when facing Emperor Wu's mockery. Even without the cycle banner, he could hold his own against a second heaven Emperor Wu. Xiaoqun sighed somewhat helplessly. Then he continued to absorb the third peak-grade demon fiend rock. After he finished, his saber soul reached 80% comprehension. However, Xiaoqun did not feel much joy. With this third demon fiend rock, his saber soul had only reached 80% comprehension, not even 81%. If this continued, not to mention 100% comprehension saber soul, even 90% comprehension would be an unattainable goal. An 80% comprehension saber soul cannot create an absolute suppression. Compared to a 70% comprehension saber soul, there is no qualitative difference. Xiaoqun frowned heavily. Then, he took out the remaining 7 peak-grade demon fiend rocks and entered deep thought. What should I do? Within 1 month, I will announce to the world that I am re-establishing the Dragon's Gate and send out invitations. I already exposed the sharp spirit finger as a trump card. If I do not have another trump card, how am I going to suppress those insignificant people? Feeling anxious, Xiaoqun could not think of any solution. The effects of the demon fiend rocks gradually decreased. As Xiaoqun absorbed them over and over again, the effects became weaker. Why do I have to absorb them over and over again? Why not gather them together and absorb all 7 peak-grade demon fiend rocks at the same time? Xiaoqun's eyes lit up. Inspiration flashed in his mind as he came up with such an idea. What are you thinking of doing? Don't mess around. Inside the immortal spirit ring, Ao Jiao saw Xiaoqun line up the 7 demon fiend rocks as if he wanted to refine them at the same time. This startled her. I plan to refine all 7 peak-grade demon fiend rocks at the same time and risk it all. Idiot! To think that you are really planning to do that. Demon fiend rocks are evil items in the first place, not anything good. Refining just one is already fatal. You want to absorb them all at the same time? Are you tired of living? Ao Jiao scolded. Don't think that you are the only smart one who thought of this. Some madmen have tried it before. Refining demon fiend rocks at the same time can multiply the effects. However, one can only refine 3 peak-grade demon fiend rocks at the same time. That is the limit. If one exceeds this limit, they will either go crazy, their souls will scatter, or they will become crippled. None of them will have a good ending. Even if one can refine 3 at the same time, that would be a deity race cultivator with extraordinary mental energy. Few people of the other races can do that. Xiaoqun's originally hesitant expression became more resolute when he heard this. Xiaoqun had transmigrated and reincarnated. His mental energy was more than twice that of a regular human's in the first place. Furthermore, he cultivated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation, making his mental energy even stronger, already condensing it into magic energy. In terms of mental energy, even the deity race's Emperor Wu did not have many people stronger than Xiaoqun. Of course, in terms of usage of mental energy, Xiaoqun was definitely not as good as the deity race cultivators. Back then, when Emperor Forsaken made a move, he returned without any results. Thinking of this, Xiaoqun felt more confident. Ao Jiao, I never do things rashly. However, this time I have to take a gamble. The re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate is very important. I do not have the corresponding strength. Just the Haotian Prime alone will not be able to suppress that group of small fries. Pu Si. Before Ao Jiao could reply, Xiaoqun's 80% comprehended saber soul came out of his forehead with a flash. The instant the 80% comprehended saber soul appeared, all the bladesmen on Heavenly Star Island felt a formless force that made the sabers in their hands tremble. The saber intent that radiated out buzzed endlessly. Fortunately, this moment ended as quickly as it came. When the saber soul came in contact with the 7 peak-grade demon fiend rocks, the scattered saber intent immediately vanished. Black fog shrouded the summit, and a sinister wind blew. A horrifying demon moved unpredictably in the black fog. Such a mysterious phenomenon attracted the attention of all the cultivators around the mountain range. What's going on? Why is there such a terrifying demonic chi on the peak where Xiaochen cultivates? That demon is very horrifying. With just one look, the dark side of my heart surged, unable to suppress my murderous intent. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.